I'm your host, sabrinasalvati. I'm your host, sabrinasalvati. I'm your host, sabrinasalvati. I'm your host, sabrinasalvati. All right. Happy Sunday, ladies and gentlemen, and happy daylight savings time day. We have fallen back. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not a fan of when the time falls back, because for those of us that live in the Northeast, that means it's getting dark at 4 o'clock. So I don't like that. I don't like when it gets dark at 4 o'clock. It makes it feel like it's so much later than it actually is. Like you would leave work and it's like already dark outside. So I'm not a fan of falling back. I like springing forward, and I just wish it would just stay that way. So it's still daylight at like 8 o'clock at night. That's just me. The whole daylight savings time thing, it screws me up. I don't know about you guys, but welcome, guys. Welcome to Sabby's podcast. I'm your host, Sabrina Salvati. If you're new, I do want to let you know that Sabby's podcast is a part of Revolutionary Blackout Network. You can catch me there on Thursdays at the Sabby and JB show, and you can catch me here on Tuesday, Thursday, and Sundays. Shout out to everyone watching on YouTube, Rockfin, Twitter, and Rumble, and welcome back, guys. We have a really good show tonight. I am going to do a deep dive. I haven't done a deep dive in maybe like a week or so. It feels like it's been at least about a week since I've done a deep dive. But this one will definitely impact all of us. So I definitely want to make sure that I get into that, fam. We have quite a bit to get into. I do want to start out by giving shout outs to people in the chat, ladies and gents. What is going on, fam? Shout out to Joe, says, sup chat. Sup, Joe. Shout out to Blessed for Today, sends muscle. That's what I'm talking about. Blessed for Today in the gym. Greetings, Blockbuster, says hello. Shout out to Moo. Elon talking about AI makes me feel like the elites will be able to rewrite history easier, since there won't be physical copies of newspapers, books, video, etc. That's a good point that you bring up there. I didn't think about that. Shout out to Tracy, says they will destroy themselves trying to destroy us. Learn from Pharaoh, treat my people right, or curse yourselves. Greetings, Skylar, says DST got me all discombobulated. I know, just like, eh. Shout out to Mr. says time won't give you time. Boy George. Time won't give you time. Shout out to Volvo, says, hey. Greetings, Herva, says this is not going to end well. Shout out to Hannah, says at work waiting. Greetings, Dana, says, hey, everybody. Shout out to Lawrence, says hands off Venezuela. We're going to get there, Lawrence. We're going to get there. Greetings, William says, sup, Sabsters. Shout out to CBC Voter, says happy Sunday, Sabby and Eric T. Red. Greetings, Doug sends a wave. What's up, Doug? Shout out to Virginia from Northern Virginia. Greetings to all. I love the fact that you specified Northern Virginia because Virginia is a big state. And there are different parts of Virginia, right? Like there's Northern Virginia, there's Southern Virginia, there's Western Virginia, and they're all different, right? So I just thought that was cute that you specified that. Shout out to, of course, my comrade here, Cory, says, happy Sunday, Sabby crew. Greetings, James says, what's this just started? What? Daylight savings time, James. Daylight saving time. Greetings to another James, says Sabby, Eric, bless. Shout out to my comrade JB, says, hello, everyone. Getting my walk in right now to get my 10,000 steps in today. That's what I'm talking about. Me and JB be out there hitting the pavement. Shout out to Eartha, says, hi, everyone. My daughter knows this is my favorite time. LOL. Yes, Ezra, we are live. What's up? What's up? And shout out to Kimi, says, sweating to the spirit. JB, get it. That's right. That is right. Thank you so much for the super sticker. Zena, thank you. And thank you. Shout out to jazz legend Walter Beasley for the super sticker, says, was poppin'. What is going on? Thank you. Bro Fly Lineage says, America first is hijacked. It's America only now. Interesting. See, people are waking up. Rain, hey, Sabrina, maybe you can get that veteran on named Rig. I don't know who that is. Maybe you can email me. I'm sorry. I feel like I probably should know who that is, but I don't know who he is. So just email me. Thanks. Java the Cat, what's up? Hi, Sabby. You got a nice shout out today on the I Am Coach Colin YouTube clip regarding the Charlie Kirk event. Oh, I'll have to check that out. Thank you for letting me know. Wow. Okay. Okay. Ladies and gents, let's go ahead and give a shout out to Sabby patrons. Thank you guys so much for being a Sabby patron. If you are interested in being a patron, I have 5 categories. Yes, I do. They are ultimate. We have Sabinators. We have Sabsters. I like to say it like that sometimes. Don't forget about those Sabbies. Yeah, don't forget about those guys. And of course, we also have a group called Members. All of their names are listed here, and you can also see their names scrolling across the bottom of the screen there on the ticker. Love you guys, fam. Really appreciate you. And going to give a special shout out to new Sabby patrons. Let's give it up for Alex Fox and Jasmine S. That's what I'm talking about. That could be the name of a band. Alex Fox, Jasmine S. Thank you guys. Thank you so much. Speaking of bands, I finally saw it now that it's on Netflix. The biopic of Lisa Cult Jam. My parents used to listen to Lisa Cult Jam and stuff like that. And I tell you guys before, I swear I was born in the wrong decade. I really do feel like I probably should have been born in a different decade. So maybe I could have been a teenager or something in the 80s. Cause I think I would have been rocking it out. I think I would have been at disco night. I would have been out there rocking it out to Lisa Cult Jam, old school Michael Jackson, Madonna and all that stuff. I think I would have been cool back in that day. But anywho, I finally got to watch the Lisa Cult Jam biopic. I thought it was a little short, to be honest with you. I wish they would have gone a little bit further to when Lisa started working with Full Force and all that type of stuff. So I thought for a biopic, an hour and 30 minutes was kind of short. But Lisa had really great songs, just really great songs, fam. Yes, she did. Okie dokie. Let's go ahead and show you what we are discussing tonight. And for some reason, I don't know why, but I forgot to grab that thumbnail to show you guys. So let me go ahead and take care of that, fam. And then I will bring that up on the screen. I don't know how I forgot to do that. I thought I did that, but apparently I didn't do that. As you get older, you start to forget things. Like seriously, like I'm at that point in my life now where this is embarrassing, but I walk into the kitchen and I don't know why I walked into the kitchen. Like I'm like, okay, I'm here for something, but I don't remember. I just don't remember why I came into this room. I hope that's not a bad sign of things to come. But if it's happening to you, let me know. Let me know. Oh, Annie, you were so lucky. Teen in the 80s here. Great music. Pass on the fashion though. LOL. Yeah. That might have been so much fun, man. So much fun. Okie dokie. Let's show you what we are discussing tonight. Let's get out of the walking into the kitchen conversation because I don't know. I still don't know why I went in there. Anywho, tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we are discussing. This is a big one. We're going to do a deep dive into this story, the main story here, which is Elite's secret plan for us. You will see that is a picture of Bill Ackman, Zionist Bill Ackman, and Elon Musk. Elon Musk let something slip out on Joe Rogan's show, and I'm going to explain to you how this connects Bill Ackman because Elon has talked about this quite a bit, but I want to show you one of the secret hands behind a lot of this stuff and what this means for us as workers, those of us that are part of the working class, something we need to prepare for. We're also going to discuss Cory Booker was confronted on Halloween. Honey, this is a good one, you guys. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. We'll get into that. And I'm going to make the connection between that and, of course, that Republican Party Jewish event that happened also over the weekend, because I wanted you to see some similarities here and to why, like, I don't feel like the Democratic Party is truly an oppositional party. We're also going to discuss something else that's happening across the pond. Donald Trump is now threatening Nigeria, and he says that they are killing Christians in Nigeria. But what are Nigerians saying? We're going to get into all of that, and I'm going to tell you why this is being brought to the forefront. We're also discussing, again, across the pond, Venezuela, Maduro. Maduro is responding to the U.S. government. He is deciding to arm the civilians of and I warned you guys, like, this was coming. Venezuela says, we are ready to arm everybody. We are ready to arm everybody. Why? We're going to get into that. We're also going to discuss, if you have not seen, Jesus Christ, Officer Tatum. Has Officer Tatum had a wake-up call? One would think so after the spat he is having here with Nick Fuentes, but apparently he was also at that Republican Party event over the weekend clapping for Israel. So I don't think he's fully woken up, but I'm going to explain to you how his pushback on Nick Fuentes, although warranted, doesn't hold weight because it's coming from him. And you can't have it both ways, Officer Tatum. We'll get into all of that. And last but not least, we have a good news story to share, a breaking news happening in New Mexico, which just confirms what I've been feeling for a while, that the fight is in the states. So let's get into it. Tonight's theme is who's driving the bus? So I want you to ask yourself this question as we go through these stories. Who is in control? Who is behind the wheel? And who is a passenger? Let's get started with this first story here, ladies and gentlemen. If you have not done so, do me a solid and smash that like button. Thank you. If you're new, don't forget to like, sub, and share, just like a Care Bear. Let's go ahead and dive into the first story. So, Donald Trump, after everything that is happening in the Middle East, after everything that is happening with Venezuela, is now threatening Nigeria, of all countries. Now, Donald Trump is claiming that Christians are being killed in Nigeria. But Donald Trump didn't seem to have that same type of empathy about Christians that were killed in Israel. Funny how that happens, right? And how many Christians are actually being killed in Nigeria? Is this true? Let's get into it. This is the statement that he posted on Truth Social. I'll show you my response to this as well. He said, Christianity is facing an existential threat in Nigeria. Thousands of Christians are being killed. Thousands, he claims. Here it is, folks. Radical Islamists are responsible for this mass slaughter. I am hereby making Nigeria a country of particular concern. Here we go. Here's another country that is a country of concern. But that is the least of it. When Christians or any such group is slaughtered, like is happening in Nigeria, 3,100 versus 4,476 worldwide, something must be done. I am asking Congressman Riley Moore, together with Chairman Tom Cole and the House Appropriations Committee, to immediately look into this matter and report back to me. The U.S. cannot stand by while such atrocities are happening in Nigeria and numerous other countries. Except for Gaza, right? Like, except for anything that Israel is doing. We stand ready, willing, and able to save our great Christian population around the world, except if they are being killed, violated, threatened by Israel. I'll add that part myself because, of course, he will not. So one thing I noticed about this statement, he mentions that phrase again, radical Islam. So what this is really about, folks, is this. Donald Trump is trying to turn your attention to Nigeria because he says that thousands of Christians are being killed there and using the blame game on Islam. It's Islam that's killing all of those Christians, right? So here's what I said on X, because I don't want people falling for this. Trump is using the attacks in Nigeria as a trick to get people to hate Islam. A lot of people are falling for this. Radical Islamist is used yet again. He is trying to get Americans to fear Islam so that you will love Israel. This is what I'm trying to warn people about. And let's again think about who is driving the bus. Because as much as Donald Trump would want you to believe that this is all because of radical Islam, the reality is Donald Trump and Israel are behind the wheel. They are driving the bus. Nigeria, they're just passengers. They're just passengers on this bus. In fact, you're going to see this disputed in just a second. But you see, because so many Americans have turned on Israel, they do feel as though one of the ways they can get those Americans back is by convincing them that they must fear Islam again. This worked very well after 9/11. And they're trying to get us back to that point, right? This is why I said I foresee, and again, I hope it does not happen, but I would not be surprised if there are more false flag attacks in the United States and they will say, oh, it was Iran. It was radical Islam who did this, right? There are all these tricks and games that are going to be played to convince you that Islam is the problem and not Israel. Because if they can point to another villain, it may be easier for you to overlook the one that you were focusing on before. I don't think that's going to work as well this time, though. But even Nicki Minaj, rapper Nicki Minaj, and her crazy self is co-signing this. And this is why I wanted to discuss this, because this is someone who is very popular. A lot of the, people love Nicki Minaj, love her music. And some of them may not be as aware of foreign policy. So if they see Nicki Minaj retweet Donald Trump and say, yes, thank you for doing this, I could get concerned here that they may not look into this issue as a whole. This is what Nicki Minaj said. Reading this made me feel a deep sense of gratitude. We live in a country where we can freely worship God. No group should ever be persecuted for practicing their religion. We don't have to share the same beliefs in order for us to respect each other. Numerous countries all around the world are being affected by this horror, and it's dangerous to pretend we don't notice. Thank you to the president and his team for taking this seriously. God bless every persecuted Christian. Let's remember to lift them up in prayer. Nicki Minaj, and I've said this before, not the brightest crayon in the box. Great rapper, I got to admit, she has talent. She's very talented. Great rapper. But when it comes to politics, she just kind of goes with whatever she thinks is going to be more controversial, at least on social media. I've noticed this. Now I'm sitting back and I'm wondering, all the people who love Nicki Minaj and they see this tweet, they're like, oh gosh, this is happening in Nigeria, and may not look into it for themselves. So you got Nicki Minaj co-signing this, right? It makes you wonder, is somebody paying her? But here's what they don't tell you, right? Let's bring up Nigeria. Death toll in Nigeria mosque attack rises to 50, dozens abducted. This was August of this year. No tweet from Donald Trump, no post from Donald Trump about this one. The death toll from an attack by gunmen on a mosque and nearby homes in Nigeria's northwest Castina state, has risen to at least 50, with around 60 others abducted. Now, local officials and residents reported that. That was in August. There was no statement from Donald Trump or Nicki Minaj about the mosque, the Muslims that were attacked in Nigeria. In fact, if we look a little bit further here, someone who's Nigerian actually did respond to Nicki Minaj. Fawaz, I'm Nigerian. Feel free to visit Nigeria again and stop parroting every propaganda you read on the internet. This is his response to Nicki Minaj. The recent killings in the North Central region have nothing to do with a Christian genocide or religious-based killings. Matter of fact, more Muslims are killed in total. However, the killings in the Muslim states of Kawara, Katsina, and Zamfara are ignored by Western media, while those in Plateau, a majority Christian state, is being selectively propagated as a Christian genocide. Note, these states are all in the same region of Nigeria. Let's pause here for just a second. Who's driving that bus? So we have the media that we can also add as a bus driver. Western media is not telling you about all the Muslims that are being killed in Nigeria. They are just pushing, of course, they want to tell you about the Christians that are being killed. And then you have the president co-signing that. And now you have a famous celebrity rapper, Nicki Minaj, also co-signing this. It's all just coming all together, folks. Meanwhile, the residents in Nigeria are not in control of the bus. They are just passengers. They're not getting this information out because Western media is ignoring it, or they're not speaking to them at all. Whoever drives the bus controls the bus, and they decide which road to take. Now, they can switch lanes if they choose to, but sometimes that means that someone else needs to drive the bus. Sometimes that means that the person in the driver's seat would have to become a passenger, and then the Nigerian people could drive the bus. Let's continue on here. He goes on to say this: we Muslims just happen to have the least Western connection to spread propaganda. However, even if we did those spreading this propaganda, don't even care about Muslim lives. The recent killings are by suspected herders of the Fulani nomadic ethnic group, alongside local bandits, which has been remixed by Western and pro-Israeli Christians and some Eastern Nigerian Christian as jihadists motivated, which is far from reality. So notice what he says here. It's been remixed by Western and pro-Israel Christians. Meanwhile, they're literally suspected herders of the Fulani ethnic group fighting over grazing rights with farmers, which escalated over the years to bloodshed and kidnapping. The actual religious extremists are Boko Haram, located in the northeastern borders in a predominantly Muslim state, and their victims are predominantly Muslims. They're located in the northeast of the country and around the borders with Niger Republic and Chad, and they've been suppressed by the military over the years. He shares these images here. Here's another one from Al Jazeera. Gunmen killed at least 27 in mosque attack in northern Nigeria. We'll go to the next one here. He's showing other media clips here. The bandits killed 30 and burned 20 others during the attacks in several villages. So here's someone, again, like I said, who is Nigerian, and he's pointing this out. 50 killed in a deadly mosque attack in Nigeria. Death toll in Nigeria mosque attack rises to 50. That's the article that I just shared with you. Nigeria bandit violence rising despite truce efforts. 13 killed in a mosque attack. So this is what Donald Trump is not telling you, right? So him, Marco Rubio, the whole band, they're not telling you that part. And if they omit that piece of information and they only say, well, it's all these Christians that are being killed, which they haven't proven. But if they only say that, and if you don't look into it deeper, well, it's easy to believe that it's true. Sometimes it's not what you say, it's what you don't say. Again, trying to make someone else the victim so that people can fear Islam again. Donald Trump was also at the RGC. He had made an address to them. I want you to hear what he said here. All about Israel again, all about Israel, all about Israel. Listen to this.
Hello to everyone at the Republican Jewish Coalition, and congratulations on 40 amazing years. I want to thank your national chairman, former Senator Norm Coleman, along with your CEO, Matt Brooks, and my friend Miriam Adelson, and so many other incredible supporters, distinguished guests out in beautiful Las Vegas. 4 days from now, we will celebrate the one-year anniversary of the most important election victory in the history of our country. With the help of many of you, we won all 7 swing states by millions of votes. We won the Electoral College 312 to 226. We won the popular vote for the first time of any Republican in decades, and we won 86% of the counties in America, 2,700 to 525. And very importantly, the RJC helped ensure that we won the highest percentage of Jewish vote of any Republican since 1988. I can't imagine we didn't do better than that after all I've done for the Jewish vote. I must be honest with you, but that's okay. 1988's not that bad.
Everybody hear what is being said here? Again, this is at the RJC event that happened over the weekend. Listen very carefully to what he's saying. Look at who he went out of his way to help. And he's not alone. I mean, both parties do this, but listen to what he is saying.
1 year ago, we were a dead country. Now we're the hottest country anywhere in the world by far. Wages for workers have risen at the fastest rate in 60 years, and more than $18 trillion are pouring into the United States from all over the world. We have fully secured our southern border, and we have ended 8 wars in 9 months. That's pretty good. 8 wars in 9 months. We have 1 to go, as you know, Russia, Ukraine.
This is a lie. He is there. They did not end 8 wars in 9 months. People in Gaza are still being bombed. Okay? People in Gaza are still being killed, and they are still withholding food once again.
That includes the historic peace deal that ended the war in Gaza. After 2 harrowing years of darkness, our 20 courageous hostages were returned to the loving embrace of their families. And you have to remember, we also got many of the other hostages out long before that. Many hostages were gotten out by us. Israel has never had a better friend than President Donald J. Trump. In my first term, I terminated the disastrous Iran nuclear deal. With Operation Midnight Hammer last June, we totally obliterated Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity, and we didn't even get them by surprise. They expected it, and they got obliterated. After years of broken promises by many other American presidents, I kept my promise, officially recognized the capital of Israel, and moved the American embassy to Jerusalem.
So again, pay attention to who he went out of his way to help.
I also recognized Israeli sovereignty over the Golan Heights. Who would have done that? Nobody even thought I was going to think about it. Nobody else thought about it for 70 years. but I did it. I withdrew the United States from the anti-American, anti-Israel UN Human Rights Council and terminated funding for the extremely corrupt United Nations Relief and Works Agency, a totally corrupt operation. We're also defending our Jewish citizens here in America. Just as I promised, we're deporting the foreign jihadist sympathizers and Hamas supporters from our country, and it's
there it is again. So again, right? Jihadists, Hamas supporters, like just pay attention to all of this. Who he went out of his way to help.
It's happening very quickly. Upon taking office, I signed a historic executive order directing every department and agency in the federal government to do everything in their power to end the scourge of anti-Semitism in America. My administration has filed historic civil rights lawsuits and cut off funding to colleges and universities that refuse to defend their Jewish students from vile acts of anti-Semitism. And we have secured some of the largest discrimination settlements in modern times. There's been nothing like it. In just 9 months, we have done more to protect Jewish Americans than any administration in history by far, and we're just getting started. We are going to continue to help. Together, we will make America stronger, safer, richer, prouder, and greater than ever before. I want to thank you once again to everyone at the Republican Jewish Coalition. God bless America. I'm with you all the way.
So that is the priority of the United States president. That is the priority of the U.S. government. It's not you. It's not your friend that works at Dunkin' Donuts. It's not your friend that's waiting tables. It's not your friend that works at the sanitation department. It's not your kid. It's not your brother. It's not your sister. The priority is Israel. That's the priority. So when you hear this message from Donald Trump, oh God, we're going to threaten Nigeria. We got to come after them. They're killing Christians in Nigeria. Doesn't say anything about the Muslims that are being killed in Nigeria, because it's not even really about that. The spin that they are trying to do now is they're trying to find ways to make the American people fear Islam once again, similar to the way it was after September 11. Because if you are fearing them, then it's easier to get you to support Israel. He's trying to get that support for Israel back. Like, we literally have U.S. warships in the Caribbean coming after Venezuela. We have the U.S. sending weapons and aid to Israel to continue a genocide against the Palestinian people. We have our government threatening China, threatening Russia, and now threatening Nigeria. Now, it seems to me there is one common denominator, and that is the United States. So if you ever wonder about these things, again, just ask yourself that question that I told you about. Ask yourself, who is driving the bus? Because oftentimes I think you will see that those of us that are part of the working class, we're not the ones driving the bus. Let's go to some of the comments here, ladies and gents, and then we'll go to the next story. Hey. Thank you for the super chat, Waffles. FBI, failing us since the 1920s. You can say that again. Thank you, Calvin. Sabby, do you think any politician on both sides will fight these billionaires, any though they take money from them all the time? It would have to be someone that doesn't take money from those donors, right? It would have to be someone that has a grassroots campaign, someone that is not connected to them in any way, shape, or form, to be honest with you, because those who have taken that money, have tried to stand up to them before, they were removed, right? And even some others that managed to get in that were grassroots were also still removed. So it has to be somebody that is not funded by them. And also they need the people who are going to have to back them up. The people are going to have to back them up. Dennis Kucinich was able, they kicked him out by just changing the district lines. That's how they got him out of office. AIPAC got Cory Bush and Jamal Bowman out of office. So, I mean, it really does take a village. It really does. Thank you, Fully. Don't worry about your memory, Sabby. When I was your age, I was twice as old. Thank you for sale. Nothing said about the Christians. He's starving here. Yeah, right in the US. Good point. Thank you, New York Varsity. Nigeria is a multi-religion nation and has one of the biggest Christian populations in Africa. What is really there? Cobalt, lithium, resources. Thank you, Calvin. Billionaires continue to put profits over people, and so have politicians while the people suffer. It's time to wake up. Calvin gets it. Thank you, IH. One way to take the Nigerian oil is to divide. I think you mean divide, is to divide, maybe. Okay, thank you. All right, we're making good time. Let's move on to the next story. Again, the theme, ladies and gentlemen, is who is driving the bus? Who's driving the bus? Something pretty interesting happened on Halloween. This video that has been making the rounds. Somebody decided to dress up as Benjamin Netanyahu on Halloween and confront Cory Booker in person. This video is hilarious, guys. We got to get into it. We're going to make a connection here between what happened here to Cory Booker and, of course, this RGC event that just happened, because I am going to show you where Cory Booker bears some similarities with some of his Republican counterparts, but he don't really want to get into that, but we're going to get into that, okay? So Cory Booker was confronted on Halloween by a fake Netanyahu. Pro-Palestinian activists disrupt Cory Booker's speech at the National Cathedral in Washington, D.C. Guys, you've got to see this.
Please keep funding our genocide. Thank you, Americans.
Oh, wow.
So he said, here's a stack of cash for your great work. There's Cory Booker sitting right there in the light, I think that's light gray suit. So he just walks up on the stage. This was hilarious to me.
Thank you for saying something about.
He said, and here's a dead baby bonus. And for all the churches that Israel bombed too.
Thank you for saying something about. Thank you, Americans. Please keep funding our genocide. Thank you, Americans.
It's a very big
Cory Booker for Senate. Cory Booker, 2026. Let's go.
I don't know who this person is that dressed up as Netanyahu, but we got to give him an epic clap.
Gaza, what kind of outlook do they have? You funded a genocide, and you talk about values. You voted to send bombs to Israel, and you're talking about love and values here, and children in your neighborhood? Children in your neighborhood get Twinkies and apples. They don't get bombed while going to get them. You took $800,000 from AIPAC.
I think I have a little bit more of that video, but like I said, the guy dressed up as Netanyahu, freaking epic, freaking. We have to drop the beat for this one, guys. I haven't dropped the beat in a while, so I think we'll do pressure.
Let's see how you do under pressure. Let's see how you do under pressure. Give them a name to remember.
Hey!
Let's see how you do under pressure. Let's see how you do under pressure. A moment can live on forever.
A moment can live on forever. Forever. And I think this is one of those moments that will. I do have a little bit more of the other gentleman's speech. I think it cut him off a little bit earlier there. I think it did. Here's a close-up of that one so you can see better.
What kind of outlook do they have? You funded a genocide, and you talk about values. You voted to send bombs to Israel, and you're talking about love and values here, and children in your neighborhood. Children in your neighborhood get Twinkies and apples. They don't get bombed while going to get them. You took $800,000 from AIPAC.
Yeah, so here's the thing. Cory Booker, you took that money. Cory Booker, you stood there and took pictures with Benjamin Netanyahu. Cory Booker is friends with Rabbi Shmuley. He's taking pictures with him as well. Cory Booker, you wanted to sit in that seat, so you really can't You really can't say anything when people come up and confront you, right? Look how long it took Cory Booker to call what was happening in Gaza starvation. He's like, oh, we can't starve the people. We got to get the aid in. Still to this day, wouldn't call it a genocide because he's taken over $800,000 from AIPAC. When he was confronted about this on the I Have Had It podcast, he tried to deflect. That was over the course of years that I took that money. Why everybody keeps talking about Israel and Gaza? Why aren't people talking about the genocide that is happening in Sudan? First, people are talking about it. Two, if he paid attention to independent media, but then two, the United States is providing the weapons and the funding for the genocide in Gaza. The United States is involved directly with what is happening in Gaza. Now, here's the problem why I say that the Democratic Party isn't a truly oppositional party. Because when we take a look at what happened over the weekend at the RJC, I want to show you this here. This is the crowd at the Republican Jewish Coalition event on Saturday. The crowd is very small. Looks to be about 100 and 150 people. So it's not a large group of people. One could laugh at how little support they have, but the truth is this small gathering has more influence over the GOP than the 77 million Americans that voted for Donald Trump. That is the reality, and that's something I think we all have to come to terms with. That may be a small group there, but that small group has more power. When we talk about the confrontation that just happened with Cory Booker, we have to ask that question again, who's driving the bus? Israel, AIPAC, the donor class, they are driving the bus. Now we can say, some may say, well, Cory Booker's driving that bus. Cory Booker is actually a passenger on the bus. Now, here's the thing. A passenger can get off the bus when they want to. When that bus comes to a stop, Cory Booker can get out of his seat and get off that bus. But he has decided to stay on that seat, to stay on that bus as a passenger. Or if he wanted to be even more brazen, he could say, get out of the driver's seat, AIPAC, Israel. You get off the bus. This is my bus, and I'm going to drive that bus. And he can choose to take that bus down a different lane. Like I said, they can switch lanes. But Cory Booker doesn't want to do that. Now, Cory Booker may differ from the Republicans when it comes to some of the social issues, when it comes to some of the economic issues. He may differ a little bit. But when it comes to Israel, he does not differ. Cory Booker has taken more money than AIPAC than some of the Republican politicians that are in Congress. So you see this group of people, and yes, it's small.
Stand up, Trump and Netanyahu.
So not a lot of people, right? That's Mark Levin there. We'll get to him in just a second. Not a lot of people in that room, but those people have immense power. So this is who is really representing these politicians instead of the people who actually go out and vote. And that's a big problem that we have. Kevin said Booker is pretty effed up on domestic issues as well. Yeah. Like, I know he doesn't support like universal health care. He doesn't go far with it, but he'll say, no, don't cut SNAP and we can't remove health care for people. But he's never going to get out of that bubble that he's in where he walks away. He breaks from the status quo and says, we need to really do something for the working class people. Now, again, if you know about Cory Booker's background, and you understand where he comes from. I explained this on the show before. He's another one of these, what would have been at that time a potential politician that would be suitable for AIPAC to go after, right? Like Cory Booker went to Stanford, very smart, was speaking a lot about like issues for the Black community and everything at that time. And what they usually do is they'll go after Black people like that when they're in college, and they'll try to get them on board with their agenda. By they, I mean AIPAC, J Street, any of the Israeli lobby groups. And they'll say, if you support us, we'll make sure that you get that seat in Congress. This is how the game is played. Cory Booker is one of the simps that decided to play that game. Cory Booker is one of the simps that actually told AIPAC at a meeting that this is how you get the Black people on board. Start recruiting them young. He said that to a room full of AIPAC reps. Cory Booker stood there, and for all his talk about civil rights and all this type of stuff, Cory Booker stood right there in front of that room and sold out the Black community to benefit his own political career and his own pockets. Now, when we look at this event that happened over the weekend, I want you to understand that when you hear rhetoric that comes from Randy Fine, and although Cory Booker may not say some of the same words that Randy Fine says, but Cory Booker is in the same category with this guy. Listen to this.
But I'm here for the kids down here because it's easy to talk about anti-Semitism on the left. I want to talk about the dark force rising on our side. Multiple speakers have talked about the rise of anti-Semitism on the right. But it is not enough to speak in platitudes or generalities about the fight. We must call evil by its name. 5 years ago, if I was talking to my father, who's watching, hi Dad, if I was talking to my father at 8:59 p.m. at night, he would say, Randy, I gotta go. Tucker Carlson's gonna be on. But make no mistake, today, Tucker Carlson is the most dangerous anti-Semite in America.
Here we go. And it wasn't just him. One of the messages that was delivered during this event is that people like Tucker Carlson and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Nick Fuentes and Candace Owens, whether you agree with them or not, that they need to be silenced. They need to be deplatformed. And here's the thing. Look, I don't agree with Tucker Carlson on most things, but you don't even hear me calling for those people to be deplatformed. That's something I'm very much against. I told you guys, I'm against people being deplatformed. I'm against the censorship, that type of thing. But this is where it's going. So when it comes to Israel, no, the Democratic Party is not an oppositional party. When it comes to billionaire money, no, it's not an oppositional party. So do we really have, between those two parties, do we really have a party that's for the working class? That would be one of the third parties. That would be the Green Party. That would be PSL. But when it comes to the two major parties, no, we don't. So this whole let's take pictures with Netanyahu, let's take these trips to Israel, let's push the greater Israel agenda. Cory Booker is doing the same thing when it comes to that issue as Randy Fine. Let's continue on.
He has chosen to take on the mantle of leader of a modern day Hitler Youth, to broadcast and feature those who celebrate the Nazis, those who call for the extermination of Israel, to defend Hamas, to even criticize President Trump for stopping Iran's nuclear ambitions. Friends, make no mistake, Tucker is not MAGA.
See this? Everybody see what's going on now? Okay. Tucker Carlson had this interview with Nick Fuentes. You can like it, you can dislike it, but now does everybody see how they turn on you? So do you see how they turn it on Tucker and Candace and all of them because they're not willing to play that game? They're not playing that game anymore. Oh, we got to kick them out of the club. We got to go after them now. This happened in the Democratic Party too. They did it to Cori Bush. They did it to Jamal Bowman. They tried to do it to Rashida Tlaib. Then I guess they realized that, her district is her, and that's not going to work. The games that are played.
Tucker's fall from grace has been one of the most extraordinary implosions in political history. And the rapidity of it has created real challenges for us all. because our friends don't have our shared experience. I even deal with this with my colleagues in the House. See, they remember the Tucker of 5 years ago. They don't live with anti-Semitism every day. They don't think about it the way that we do. And it's jarring for them to try to understand, how did this person become who he is today? But the challenge is he's inspired a movement of hate in our midst. And I'm not done calling people out.
And this is part of the reason why Cory Booker, I don't believe, will ever change. What happened to my... Oh, here we go. This is one of the reasons why I don't think Cory Booker will ever do the right thing or go as far as he should when it comes to Israel, right? Because you see how they turn it on Tucker and all of them now? This is what happens when you don't move the way that they want you to move. You see, as long as you're doing everything that they want you to do to be a part of that club, they'll stand right by you. They'll defend you. They will be your ride or die. But the moment that you disagree, the moment that you start to, I don't know, do a little bit of the hokey pokey and turn yourself around, the moment that you start to do that, they will take every measure that they have and turn it against you. Cory Booker knows what's happening is wrong, but Cory Booker knows what'll happen if he were to take that same type of step that, let's say, Cori Bush took. He knows what's going to happen. He knows they're going to get him out. Oh, Cory Booker, we got to get somebody to primary you. AIPAC will say that. They'll come after him. You even had clowns like, and I just, Lord knows, Floyd Mayweather, even Floyd Mayweather out there simping for this genocidal, racist state.
And like I said before, I'm not with you guys 10%, 50%. I will always be the voice for the people in Israel. I will always stand behind the country of Israel, the one and only Floyd Money Mayweather in Israel. I will always be here for you guys when you guys don't have a voice.
They won't always be there for you. Hell, they don't even like you. You're just used as a token. You are used so that they can say, see, Israel isn't racist. We got Floyd Mayweather. Mark Levin, another one, said some pretty harsh things here. Again, calling for people to be deplatformed.
I don't need more than 15 minutes. The cowards. We're surrounded by cowards who have microphones, who have TV cameras, who have websites, who have columns. Cowards. It's spelled C-A-R-L-S-O-N. It's spelled F-U-E-N-T-E-S. It's spelled O-W-E-N-S. It's spelled B-A-N-N-O-N. It's spelled Marjorie Trader Green. You can figure that out yourself. And they're not alone. How are we going to attack the Mondamis and the Talibs and the Omars and the Sanders and the rest of them when in our own house this poison is spreading? We've got to take care of business. We can fight the enemy on the other side. But the problem is, the more daunting problem, the more complicated problem is when they're in our house and they're trying to take over our house and they're burning down our house. And they're destroying America First, and they're destroying MAGA, and they're destroying the Republican Party, which means they're destroying the country. Either speak up and stand out, but don't be a pretender. Don't be a pretender. We need help to deal with these people.
Calling out all of the podcasters that have been critical of Israel. Now, these are the same people that stood toe-to-toe with Tucker Carlson, stood right beside him, Candace, and all of them, Nick Fuentes, all of them, they were totally fine with them when they were willing to play their game. But at some point, they realize, whoa, I don't think this is right. I don't really feel that way. I think I'm going to say this and I'm free to say what I want because I believe in free speech. But then coming to realize, yes, you can say those things, but the club may not allow you to continue to be a part of the club. And then they will turn against you. This is why I think Cory Booker won't do the right thing. He's probably going to run for president again. He's engaged now, so, that's a bonus. He'll probably get married before 2028 so that he has a wife. The woman he proposed to looks very much like Rosario Dawson, weirdly enough. But if you want to be an oppositional party, you can't be in line with this type of rhetoric, right? The people willing to defend Israel at any and every cause. And on this position in particular, I don't care what the Democratic Party says, you guys are not different from the Republican Party when it comes to Israel. You co-sign the same things. The Black Caucus, you get on a plane, you go to Israel and you kneel at the wall. You bend the knee for Benjamin Netanyahu. But when you are confronted with constituents in your own district, I can't do nothing for you. Don't talk to me. I'm not the president. I don't write the bills. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. There's nothing we can do. I don't have the House. We ain't got the Senate. We ain't got the da-da-da. But they never say that to Israel. That's a big thing. If the Democratic Party were to tomorrow totally change their position on Israel and stop taking the money from the Israeli lobby, they would have a stronger position to say, hey, we are an oppositional party. But they can't do that. Because in order for them to do that, then they would also have to say, we're not going to take billionaire money in this party anymore. See, that's what it really all goes back to. Because as long as you're still taking big money interests, as long as you're taking super PACs, you're taking the billionaire money, you're taking money from the military industrial complex, you are not going to be a truly oppositional party from the Republican Party. It all goes back to money. So you got Mark Levin here. He wants them gone. Randy Fine wants them gone. They are basically creating a war against podcasters that are part of their party. And so I'm going to say the same thing that I said about the progressives in the Democratic Party. I'm going to give that same message to Tucker Carlson. He said Steve Bannon too, which is interesting. Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, Nick Fuentes, all of them, all of these people that are part of the Republican Party that do not support Israel, that do not support American money going to Israel, they really need to have a separate party. Listen, I'm registered no party affiliation. I voted third party in 2024. I have no dog in this fight. You don't see me leaning one way or the other. I'm just here to just put it out there, point blank. Same thing I said about AOC and all of them, how they really need to have a separate party, is the same thing I'm saying to Candace and Tucker and all of them. They really need to have a separate party. A party that is free from, doesn't want the U.S. to send money to other countries. A party that doesn't want any more wars. A party that actually really wants to put America first. Because if you're putting Israel first, you're not putting America first. You're not. They have been kicked out of the club. And Cory Booker can also be kicked out of that club. And so Cory and Randy Fine, and God tell me, I don't know who voted for Randy Fine, but please, for the love of God, tell me you guys got someone else to get him out of that seat. Cory Booker, Randy Fine, Ted Cruz, all of them. Who else was pro? Kamala was pro-Israel, like all of them. These people have to either come to a reckoning and do what's right for humanity, call it a genocide, and leave Israel behind, or they will forever allow the Israeli lobby, Benjamin Netanyahu, and Israel altogether drive their bus. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to be a passenger on the bus. Cory, can we go to part 2? I don't want to be a passenger on the bus. And I've been a passenger before. A friend of mine, when I was in undergrad, her professor said to them, I want you guys to do this assignment and ask yourself who was driving your bus. And she realized that she wasn't driving her bus. And hell, at that point, I wasn't driving my bus either. So Cory Booker being confronted in the way that he was confronted, I think that was the right thing to do. Some people are saying, oh, that's so hostile. No, I thought that was funny as hell. Because that's a reality. Cory Booker needs to be embarrassed. Randy Fine needs to be embarrassed. I want to see people do that to Randy Fine too. All these people taking money from the Israeli lobby, all these people defending Israel, I think they should be embarrassed. That's my take on that. Let's go to some of the comments here, ladies and gents, and then we'll get to the next story. Hey. Thank you, Ivan. Who's driving the bus and what's the destination? That's a good point, Ivan. Also, what's the destination? Good point. Thank you, Laura. First time I watched you live, Sabby. I really like your analysis. Thank you. Greetings from Mexico City. Hey, #free Palestine. Thank you. Dr. Teeth says Cory Booker has never been on a bus in his life. Thank you, Fully Laden. To take your bus analogy a bit further, we're all on the same bus going 100 miles per hour towards a cliff, and everything's arguing about where to sit. That's a good point too. Hey, you guys are getting really into this. Cool. I try to come up with different themes. Not always easy. And thank you, Calvin. Remember that song? What people will do for money, it's so relevant with politicians, entertainers, athletes. Anyone can be bought. There you go. And I think we have a Rumble rant. Let's go ahead and grab that as well. Thank you. All right. Thank you for the Rumble rant, Goo. No mention of Arab Christians being decimated, ISIS in Iraq, Al-Jalani, Syria, and Israel. Yeah, you didn't mention that either. Thank you for the Rockfin tips. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Sabby, Sabs, and Eric. Blast away with your high energy. Do it. And thank you, Stephanie Carroll. Nigeria has major oil reserves, the largest natural gas reserve in Africa, plus major deposits of coal, iron, ore, lithium, gold, and other minerals and gemstones. The focus on Nigeria is about resources, not humanitarianism. Thank you for this one as well. What really stood out to me about that fake Netanyahu confronting Cory Booker is that the audience seemed to applaud this. And I didn't hear the usual booing of the disruptor. That seems like a positive sign. Hey, that's right. That is right. Okay, let's get to the next story, ladies and gentlemen. Venezuela. Holy smokes, ladies and gentlemen, things are getting tense in Venezuela. I want you to ask who is driving this bus. And Nicolas Maduro has announced that he is willing to arm the workers of Venezuela. President Maduro orders distribution of rifles to worker militias across Venezuela. Now, before people get their panties in a bunch, you may be wondering, whoa, why? What is happening? What's going on? Why is he doing that? Let's be very clear here. Maduro made it very clear that this is not what he wanted. He does not want conflict with the United States. But the U.S. government decided, F what you have to say. We are going to come for you anyway. As I mentioned to you before, Venezuela has large amount of oil reserves. We're talking billions and billions of tons of oil reserves. So they have a lot of oil. That's what this is really about. Trump actually let that slip at one point. So they use this excuse of Venezuela has these drug cartels, so we're going to go after them, the drug cartels. They send warships to the Caribbean. They start attacking and killing people on these speedboats, only to come to find out these boats, many of them are not even from Venezuela, and they weren't sending any drugs. On one of the boats in particular, there were 2 guys from Trinidad and Tobago who were killed, not from Venezuela. So the reason why Nicolas Maduro is now deciding to make this decision is because of this report that came out over the weekend. The U.S. is poised to strike military targets in Venezuela in escalation against Maduro regime. This is where we're headed now. Now the U.S. wants to go after the military targets in Venezuela. Again, they want the oil. One thing we can say about Trump is this: at least he has no filter. He makes it very clear, yeah, we got to get the oil. Trump has made the decision to attack military installations inside Venezuela, and the strikes could come at any moment. Let's go on here. Sources told the Herald that the targets, which could be struck by air in a matter of days or even hours, also aim to decapitate the cartel's hierarchy. U.S. officials believe the cartel's exports around 500 tons of cocaine yearly, split between Europe and the United States. While sources declined to say whether Maduro himself is a target, one of them said his time is running out. Maduro was about to find himself trapped and might soon discover he cannot flee the country even if he decided to. What's worse for him, there is now more than one general willing to capture and hand him over, fully aware that one thing is to talk about death and it's another to see it coming. So this is why Maduro is now choosing to arm the worker militias across Venezuela. Just more escalation happening across the globe. And if Venezuela didn't have all that oil, the United States wouldn't even be bothered there. Again, all these countries that we go into are countries that have resources that the U.S. wants. Now, some people are pointing to this and they're saying, well, wasn't this the socialist way? Let's go ahead and take a look at that. What was the socialist way back in the day? I thought I had that here. Maybe I don't. Maybe I do. Maybe I don't. Maybe I do. Here we go. I said it here. Damn, Maduro wasn't playing around when he said he would arm the workers. Yeah, like this is just a doozy. Here it is right here, folks. Thank you, Worker Wombat. Sounds like Maduro has been reading a bit of American history. I approve. Given this history, it is understandable that some of the firmest proponents of gun ownership in the 20th century were Black Americans. Article number 2 of the constitutional amendments, Malcolm X argued, provides you and me the right to own a rifle or a shotgun. Even such proponents of nonviolence as MLK Jr. purchased a firearm and installed armed guards around his house. The cornerstone of the self-styled Maoist group, the Black Panthers, rather worshipped guns. Nor were white socialists against gun ownership. Eugene Debs, a 4-time socialist candidate for president, saw gun control as a means for capitalists to install a tyranny over a weaponless working class. Debs would pay the price for such views. He was jailed by President Wilson for criticizing American involvement in World War I. Another world war later and across the ocean, another socialist would oppose gun control. George Orwell, who, as Christopher Hitchens once wrote, was a conservative in many things, but not politics. He supported the right of citizens to bear arms. Some might say that it was only natural that a former coolie crushing colonial policeman such as Orwell would be a gun enthusiast. But Orwell viewed gun control through a politically socialist, not a law and order lens. So it appears that Maduro is taking that same approach by giving the arms to the people. And I'm here to tell you this. I have had people on this show who have been to Venezuela, and they have made it very clear that the terrain in Venezuela is not something that would necessarily be easy for U.S. military to navigate. But you're talking about millions of people that would be armed. Maduro was not bluffing. Maduro was not joking around. And what the U.S. really wants, besides the oil, they want to overthrow Maduro. This is something that, Trump wanted to do during his first term. They want to get him out and install a Western puppet. that is willing to do what they want, give them those resources. We've been doing this for years as a country. We've been doing it for years. Gaddafi wasn't willing to bend the knee. They got rid of him and installed a Western puppet. Saddam Hussein wasn't willing to. You can have whatever you want to say about Saddam Hussein, but ISIS didn't come about until after he was killed. So what does that tell you? So they want to put in their own puppet who is willing to bend the knee. Here's the problem. This would be a problem for the United States, and I want to tell you why. It turns out that Venezuela has friends. Let's see who some of those friends are. U.S. squeeze on Venezuela won't bring about rapid collapse of Maduro. In fact, it might boomerang on Washington. Let's get into it. I think I have to scoot this over just a little bit there. Here we go. Nicolas Maduro has been the leader since 2013. He's not taking any chances. In recent weeks, he responded to Trump's administration moves as if invasion were imminent. After a September emergency decree and martial rhetoric about republic in arms, the Venezuelan president says militias and reservists are now mobilized nationwide. Again, we're talking about millions of people. Compare that to like 2,000 troops that were sent there. The leftist leader has ordered armed forces, police, and militia to deploy across 284 battlefronts, a national defense posture that surges troops on sensitive borders. He has also massed 25,000 soldiers near Colombia, a likely vector for infiltration. Let's jump ahead here. Roughly 4.5 million members of the National Bolivarian Militia, an auxiliary force created in 2005 and made up civilian volunteers and reservists, have reportedly mobilized. So this is what I'm talking about. He got people all over the place. Okay. So this is not, this is not good. Not good. Not something that we really want, we should be involved in at all. But here we go. Now I want to show you who the friends are. Venezuela has powerful friends overseas. Here we go. One of them is Russia. On October 28th, a Russian Il-76 heavy cargo plane operated by a sanctioned carrier tied to the Russian military logistics landed in Caracas after a multi-stop route through the Caucasus and West Africa. If not an outright sign of solidarity, this is a signal that Russia can airlift advisors, parts, and munitions at will. We would be looking at another conflict with Russia. See, that's the thing. Like some of these countries that the US government chooses to attack, they actually do have friends. Their friends don't have to be a part of the West. So there's already the war between Russia and Ukraine. Now imagine pissing Russia off again. Follow it, guys. That's just one of their buddies, right? Iran. Iran's long, quiet hand is visible in Venezuela's drone program. It was reportedly seeded with Mohajer, I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, I'm sorry, was reportedly seeded with Mohajer 2 kits and expanded over the years into armed and surveillance platforms assembled at state plants by Tehran-trained technicians. So they are also friends with Iran. I mean, we already pissed Iran off multiple times. We were just attacking Iran. Cuba, for its part, has for more than a decade embedded intelligence and internal security advisors across Venezuela's military services and under-discussed force multiplier that helps the regime police dissent and maintain loyalty. Although Russia, Cuba, and Iran may help Maduro survive, they are unlikely to save him from any determined American campaign. So they're talking about cautious opposition that if Washington is hoping that its military squeeze may encourage Venezuelans to take matters into their own hands, the domestic scene is less favorable. The opposition to Maduro is fragmented and vulnerable after being deprived fraudulently by most accounts, victory in a 2024 vote and subsequent year of repression. So Maduro has buddies. And this is the last thing. And I'm trying to, no. We think about who was driving the bus. Who's driving this bus? Would Venezuela even think about us at all if we weren't going after them? So we have the U.S. government driving this bus. Now, Maria Corina Machado, the woman who just won the Nobel Peace Prize that I warned you about, who's also just another Western puppet, she is actually calling for the overthrow of Maduro. Again, this woman is a Western puppet. Listen to this.
Do you support US military strikes on the territory of Venezuela as part of what you call a process?
I believe that the increase in pressure and the escalation that's taking place is the only way to force Maduro to understand that it's time to go.
So that's Maria there. Let's fast forward so you can see her face. This is Maria. She actually wants the Trump administration, the US government, to overthrow the leader in her country. She approves of the attacks that are happening. And her big thing is she's ready to sell off resources in Venezuela to other countries. She wants a partnership with Israel. She's another Zionist. Everybody's seeing the connection now, how a lot of these things lead back to what Israel wants. And see, Western media will frame this in such another way. They'll be like, oh my God, look at Maduro. He's giving guns to people who are civilians. He's giving guns to people. They just want to come after the US. They were pretty much minding their own business. The US government is usually the aggressor. We usually are. They don't want to tell you that. They literally gave that woman a Nobel Peace Prize. Now, here's the thing. Not everyone in Trump's administration agrees with this. And one of them is Miss Tulsi Gabbard. And I want you to hear what she has to say about this administration's involvement in Venezuela.
The United States has a disastrous history of military intervention and regime change around the world, which has brought suffering to millions of people. It's bankrupted our country, dishonored our troops, and it's undermined our national security. We must end this policy now before we get into yet another military conflict, this time in Venezuela. Now, President Trump and his administration have already instituted heavy sanctions on Venezuela. They've doubled down on their position that all options are on the table. I wholeheartedly support the Venezuelan people as they fight for a free and fair democracy. But the United States should not be in the business of intervening, of picking who should lead their country, and we certainly should not be threatening military action. Venezuela poses no threat to the United States. Congress has not authorized the United States to go to war in Venezuela, and there's no justification for our country to violate the sovereignty of the Venezuelan people. Now, the reality is that threats of U.S. military action and regime change in Venezuela is undermining ongoing efforts to convince North Korea to give up their nuclear weapons program, which exists because Kim Jong-un sees it as the only deterrent against US-led regime change. Now, President Trump is promising North Korea we will not wage regime change war against them, but at the same time is simultaneously threatening regime change in Venezuela.
So that was Tulsi Gabbard's position on Venezuela. So I'm going to ask this question again, because I asked this question about the Charlie Kirk, shooting as well. Where is Tulsi Gabbard? Why has Tulsi Gabbard been so quiet lately? I mean, this woman was out front and center at the very beginning of the administration, and she was doing a number of interviews. I ain't seen Tulsi in a hot minute. Hello? calling Tulsi Gabbard. That was her position on Venezuela. Where is Tulsi Gabbard now? Now, Marco Rubio in particular, I really believed that one of the reasons why he was chosen to be a part of this administration is because Marco Rubio has been itching to go after Venezuela for years. That's his personal pet peeve. He has wanted to go after Venezuela, and he's also a Zionist, so it's a bonus there if you're a warmonger. So Tulsi that was her position. She's been very quiet. Somebody need to check. Is this woman still around? Where is Tulsi Gabbard? Because I feel like they kind of put a gag order on her. That's why we're not seeing her around. But that has been her position on Venezuela. She's been very strong about that. And now we see Ro Khanna is also saying this is not the right way to go.
Urgent news. Donald Trump is getting ready to strike targets inside Venezuela, according to the Wall Street Journal and the Miami Herald. The United States Congress must speak up and stop this. No president, according to the Constitution, has the authority to strike another country without Congress's approval. And the American people have voted against regime change and endless wars. It is time for Congress to get back into session today and stop us from getting mired in yet another international conflict.
Look, Ro Khanna has been on the show before, and I think that someone just said in the chat, Casey said, I think Nick Cruz shook up Ro. I think so too. Ro Khanna, he's been on this show. He interviewed with my comrade Nick Cruz at RBN. And Nick, really let him have it. Like, listen, this is why you guys are losing. This is why, so it seemed like to me, after that conversation that he had with Nick, Ro Khanna has been coming out more heavy, right? He's been more vocal and calling out, a lot of this stuff. He's working alongside Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massie with the Epstein files. So he has been more vocal than in the past. I have noticed that. But Congress did not declare war on Venezuela. And that's something, whether you like Ro Khanna or not, that's a good point to point out. He's just doing whatever he wants. Trump is just doing whatever he wants. And meanwhile, people were calling him the peace president. This is just insane. And another thing I want to let everybody know. Every time we steal resources from Venezuela, every time we implement more sanctions on Venezuela, sanctions kill people. Every time, we continue to, if he's going to strike these military targets, we're talking about more war. Guess what happens when that conflict comes to a country? People try to flee. Sanctions are economic warfare. So if people are hit with tremendous amounts of sanctions and they can't afford food, like basic things they need, they try to flee. And when people ask, why are all of them coming here? Why are all the people at the border? A lot of them are fleeing that. There is profit to be made with war, with the weapons manufacturers. There's profit to be made here. That's why these things happen. What a lot of people don't want to admit, but this is just the reality. As long as you have a capitalist system, you're going to have war. Because there's profit to be made. Let's go to the comments, ladies and gents. Hey. All righty. Hey. Oh, I'm making sure I'm on the right one. Okay, here we go. Thank you, Kenman. The blue bus driver, where are you taking us? There you go. Thank you, Satra. I saw a documentary stating Venezuela has lots of oil because they were using ethanol gas made from sugarcane. As a result, they did not have to use oil. That could be the case. That would explain a lot, like why they have a lot of oil. Thank you, Carol. Rubio is of Cuban origin. Yes, he is. Thank you, Anthony. Ukraine is Russia's Achilles heel. as Venezuela is the U.S. Achilles heel. Iran's relationship with Maduro explains Israel provocation towards Iran. This chess game is becoming entangled. Israel got a problem with anybody that don't want Israel to take over the rest of the Middle East, to be honest with you. Israel got a problem with anybody that doesn't want Israel to be like the dominant force in the Middle East. Okay. We're going to move on to the next story here, ladies and gentlemen. This one is a little bit more of a deep dive. If you haven't done so, do me a solid and smash the like. Yeah. Let's keep this show moving. Hey. Deep dive time. What are the elites planning for us? Those of us that are part of the working class, which is the majority of us here in this country. What do they have up their sleeve? I've been sounding the alarm about the concerns that I've had when it comes to artificial intelligence. And while, some people told me, oh, we ain't got to worry about that for a long time, we are already starting to see the impacts of AI and how it affects the workforce. Elon Musk let the cat out of the bag over the weekend on Joe Rogan's podcast. Elon Musk is letting you know what his buddy bros in Silicon Valley and the tech bubble peeps are working on. And one of those people in particular that I feel is not mentioned in this particular topic, but is more so mentioned with the Israel topic, is Bill Ackman. Bill Ackman is what I consider to be a double threat. Bill Ackman is a double threat, not just because he's a rabid Zionist that has all this love for Israel and is willing to have the power to get a president at Harvard University to resign from their role because his daughter goes there and he didn't like the protest against Israel. He's a double threat because he has that type of power when it comes to Israel, but also the power that he has in the AI world. I want to show you what Elon Musk said on Joe Rogan's podcast. There are two clips. This is the first one we want to dive into.
A phone will really be an edge node for AI inference, for AI video inference, with some radios to obviously connect to. But it essentially will have AI on the server side communicating to an AI on your device, formerly known as a phone, and generating real-time video of anything that you could possibly want. And I think that there won't be operating systems, there won't be apps in the future. There won't be operating systems or apps. It'll just be, you've got a device that is there for the screen and audio and for and to put as much AI on the device as possible, so as to minimize the amount of bandwidth that's needed between your edge node device, formerly known as a phone, and the servers.
So Elon Musk is saying that this is apparently I will give you the time, let him give the timeline. Elon Musk is saying that going forward at some point, we are not going to have apps. There's no longer going to be any apps. You will have a screen, and with that screen, there is going to be AI. So if you want to see something, you can just ask to see it, like show me this movie or show me Chicago, and you'll just see that. But he is saying that apps will no longer be a thing. Now, some of you may feel like, okay, what's the big deal? Those are people's jobs. And I'm not just talking about those of us that are streamers. I'm talking about anyone that works for one of these app companies that you see on your phone. Rather, it's something like, we think of streaming, but like Twitch, YouTube, like give me another app that's on the phone, like the fitness apps or whatever, like those types of things. Well, people have jobs. People work on those apps. That's how they exist. So if those apps are gone, then that means that those people are going to lose their jobs. Let him continue on.
So if there's no apps, what will people use? Like, will X still exist? Will they be email platforms, or will you get everything through AI?
You'll get everything through AI.
Everything through AI. What will be the benefit of that, as opposed to having individual apps?
Whatever you can think of, or really whatever the AI can anticipate you might want, it'll show you. That's my prediction for where things end up.
What kind of time frame are we talking about here?
I don't know. It's probably 5 or 6 years, something like that.
5 to 6 years. 5 to 6 years. So Rogan did ask him, will X, formerly Twitter, still exist? We're like, no, like no X, no email, no none of that. Just anything that you want to see, you will just ask AI on your device and you will just see that. What that means is that all those people that work at X, Google, I mean, there's many, Facebook, Salesforce. I'm just thinking of all of them, Salesforce, etc. That means those people won't have jobs. Hold on to that. That's important. The job part.
So 5 or 6 years, apps are like Blockbuster Video.
Pretty much.
And everything's run through AI.
Yeah. And there'll be most of what people consume in 5 or 6 years, maybe sooner than that, will be just AI generated content. So, music, videos.
Yeah. And he went on more there. You can watch the full interview on Joe Rogan's podcast. So we ask again, who's driving the bus? The billionaires, the elites. They are driving the bus. Now, if there are no apps, there's no email, and there's just a device and a screen that tells you what you want to see, who determines what information AI is going to show you? Do you think that's something that we would choose? No, we don't have that type of power. So if I ask my phone to tell me about Israel and Gaza, what do you think AI is going to tell me? It is a way to, and Baby Ethernet called it already, suppress information. That's one of the issues, but not the only one. Here's the other part, again, that concerns the working class. Listen to this.
But yeah, like cars are going to be autonomous. But there's just so many desk jobs where really what people are doing is they're processing email, or they're answering the phone, and just anything that isn't moving atoms, like anything that is not physically, like doing physical work, that will obviously be the first thing. Those jobs will be and are being eliminated by AI at a very rapid pace. And ultimately, working will be optional, because you'll have robots plus AI, and we'll have, in a benign scenario, universal high income, not just universal basic income, universal high income, meaning anyone can have any products or services that they want.
So
but there will be a lot of trauma and disruption along the way.
So what Elon Musk is warning you about, I don't know what I did here. Here we go. What Elon Musk is warning you is that going forward at some point, because of the increase of AI, everyone is not going to have a job. There aren't going to be jobs available for everybody. That's why he says working will be optional. Now, to add to that point, if everyone is not working, then everyone is not getting paid. And if everyone is not getting paid, then that means that more people are going to have to rely on the government for financial support. You see, this is why we can't continue to blame our neighbors. This is why we can't blame other working class people. And by the way, yeah, both parties want you to do that. Both parties want you to blame the other side. But at the end of the day, this is about the people at the top and everybody else that's at the bottom. We're not driving this bus. We're just passengers on this bus. This bus is being driven by wealthy elites, the billionaire class. They're making these decisions. We didn't make these decisions. We have no say-so in the matter. They are planning our lives for us. They're planning our future. Now, if that means that there aren't jobs for everyone, and that means that obviously more people would have to rely on government assistance, we need to take the stigma away from those who are on government assistance now. And to Elon's point, that would also mean that we would have to have a universal basic income. Andrew Yang called it in 2020 when he was running for office in the Democratic Party primary. He warned people of what his friends in Silicon Valley were working on. The plan that they have for us is to minimize our involvement as much as possible. Workers have been making noises. People say they want to unionize. They say, give me benefits. And so the big boss, the elites, they find a way to crush us by, you know what, we don't really want to give you benefits. We'll just replace those jobs with AI because we don't have to give AI health insurance. We don't have to give AI dental insurance. Hell, AI doesn't need to take vacation. And this means something else, which some people may not want to hear. That would also mean that we would have to have universal basic health care. Because if everyone is not working because there's no jobs for you, how are you going to have health care? In this country, health care is attached to your job. Let's continue on a little bit more and we'll get to Bill Ackman and his role in all of this.
So you anticipate a basic income from that the economy will boost to such an extent that a high income would be available to almost everybody. So we'd essentially eliminate poverty.
In the benign scenario, yes. So like the way
there's multiple scenarios.
There are multiple scenarios. There's a lot of ways this movie can end. Like the reason I'm so concerned about AI safety is that like one of the possibilities is the Terminator scenario. It's not 0%. That's why it's like I'm like really banging the drum on AI needs to be maximally truth seeking. Like don't force AI to believe a lie like that. For example, the founding fathers were actually a group of diverse women, or that misgendering is worse than nuclear war. Because if that's the case, and then you get the robots and the AI becomes omnipotent, it can enforce that outcome.
See.
And then like unless you're a diverse woman, you're out of the picture. So we're toast.
Ladies and gentlemen, again, we are not the ones that are making these decisions. The billionaire class are the ones that are driving the bus. And Elon Musk, he ain't no different either. He's a billionaire too. So depopulation will become a thing. Because the more, like, just think about this for a second. If we have to depend on that universal basic income, well, then the more people that we have in this country, that's more money that has to be paid out just for people to have food and a roof over their head. This also would lead to the fact why I've been telling you before, they don't really want you to own as much. They don't care that young people can't afford to buy homes. They just want you to live in these tiny shoe boxes because they feel like you're not going to need it in the future anyway. They're doing what works out best for them and their bottom line. Where does this involve Bill Ackman? Bill Ackman, Zionist, known for advocating for Israel, not giving a damn about Palestinian people, and telling the president of Harvard University to step the fuck down. Bill Ackman is also invested in AI. Very much so. We have to show you this here, something that he mentioned a year ago about investing in AI.
Are you investing in things relating to artificial intelligence?
You know, the most direct investment we have in AI, I would say, is Google or Alphabet, which has
You're a big shareholder of Alphabet.
We're a small shareholder of Alphabet because it's a massive company. We've got a large investment, it's approaching $2 billion investment in the business, and actually it was the was AI that created the opportunity for us to buy Google at an attractive price. Basically, Microsoft and OpenAI had a very powerful demonstration of and a launch of a new product, and then Google's kind of launch, or it was a bit of a disaster. Stock got crushed on the basis of fear that Google was way behind in AI, and their advertising franchise more than covered the value of the company, and you got whatever they were doing in AI, if you will, for free. And our view, based on work we had done, is that actually Google was sort of neck and neck, if not ahead of OpenAI in terms of their business progress.
So one of the pluses some people would say of being a successful investor is you do make a fair amount of money, and then you have the opportunity to be a philanthropist. So you were one of the early signers of the Giving Pledge. Mm-hmm. Are you invested?
So Bill Ackman is invested in AI. We're going to continue to connect the dots here because I'm going somewhere with this. All right. Check this out. Billionaire Bill Ackman may be the next Warren Buffett. He's buying 2 artificial intelligence stocks hand over fist. Let's dive into this here. Again, what do we say? A lot of these things have monetary value, right? So people like Bill Ackman, if there's no money attached, they're probably not trying to get into this, right? Bill Ackman has aggressively bought stock in Amazon and Uber this year. Ackman, during the first half of the year, purchased substantial positions in 2 AI stocks. He did not own either one before 2025, but they now account for 30% of his portfolio. Bill Ackman supports the way of AI. And AI can be used for different things. It can be used in a good way. It can be used in a bad way. What Elon was just talking about there, that's AI being used in a bad way, right? Like just basically pushing us out of the equation here and just letting AI take these jobs. Bill Ackman investing in AI stocks, he knows what's coming. He's friends with a lot of the tech bros like David Sachs. Like, remember they had that whole podcast called the All In podcast where they were all supporting RFK Jr. and they interviewed Donald Trump and they asked Trump, what are you going to do for the tech industry? And they're looking out for their bottom line. Now, let's connect this to the Israel part. Because at the end of the day, if what Elon is saying is true, and there will have to be a high universal income, then the less people you have, the better. So supporting this whole genocide against the Palestinian people, and there will be others that they support. There will be others along the way. You just never know when it's going to be your group. There will be others they support along the way around the world. And essentially what I believe is going to happen, I believe what they want is to have people that they consider to be highly skilled, people that they feel will be of use during that time, not people that won't be. Because again, they don't want to give out a high universal income to too many people. All of these wars that are happening all across the world, the more people they kill, the less people will have to be paid. You can also implement the pandemic as a part of this as well. The more disease, the less people you have to pay. This bus is being driven completely by the billionaire class. This is not a Republican thing. This is not a Democrat thing. We talk about both of those parties. Bill Ackman has donated to both. But Bill Ackman is one of those people that likes to tell you, I did all of this. He's against those universal programs. He's against any type of thing that, like, even like what Zohar Mandami is running on, he's against that. Oh, no. He's going to stop increasing people's rent. That's going to be bad for me as an investor. How dare those people? How dare those people ask that you stop increasing their rent? But a little something about Bill Ackman. I'll show you where he came from. I think it's important that people see this. It's not that he pulled himself up by his damn bootstraps either. In fact, Bill Ackman came from a well-to-do family. Bill Ackman was born May 8th, 1966 to Larry and Ronnie Ackman. And I'll show you about his father in just a second. He grew up in an affluent hamlet of Westchester County. He went to Harvard, got a BA in history, graduated in 1988. He goes on to say that Bill said that he could not get a job when he graduated from Harvard. He majored in history, but he couldn't get a job when he graduated from Harvard. So he went to work for his dad for 2 years. Then he went to Harvard Business School. My dad wanted me to come back to him, and I went back for 1 week. Then I chose to go on my own. So these types of things are important. When you see people like Bill Ackman looking his nose down on the poors and the low-income people and the working class and say, oh my God, they want to get something for free. They need to work for these things. What did Bill work for? Bill comes from a wealthy family. Bill went to go work for his dad after he graduated from Harvard. Other people who graduated and couldn't find a job, their dad probably didn't own a business that they could go work for. That's important to note. We will take a look at Bill's dad a little bit more here so you can see exactly what he did. This is Lawrence Ackman. Lawrence Ackman. Make this bigger for you. He was investing with his son, Bill Ackman, and other investors in commercial real estate nationwide, including multifamily apartment renovation, retail, hotels, and office properties. No wonder Bill Ackman doesn't want those New Yorkers to have affordable rent. Let's continue on here a little bit more. He graduated with an MBA in finance from Harvard Business School and a BA in economics from Brown University. So Bill Ackman was a legacy at Harvard University. We don't even know if Bill Ackman got into Harvard on his own merit or because his daddy went there. Let's go on more. Throughout his career, he championed the issue of integrity in the real estate industry and in business in general. To this end, he contributed an endowment funds to Harvard Business School, Columbia Law School, and NYU Real Estate Institute for the teaching of business and legal ethics. He was a senior member of Apple Corps Partners, an initiative started by the members of Harvard Business School class 1963 to improve public education in the United States. He served on the board of directors for the Hospital of Joint Diseases Orthopedic Institute. So his dad, it goes on and on and on. His dad, he won the Henry Hart Rice Most Ingenious Deal of the Year Award in 1999. So Bill Ackman comes from a wealthy, well-to-do family, and Bill didn't work for shit. Let's go to part 3, Cory. These are the people who are driving this bus. These are the people telling you that you don't deserve to have affordable rent. These are the people telling you that you need to support Israel at all costs. And when we see what Elon Musk is talking about with AI and the jobs and the work, we can also just take a quick look at what happened just recently with this situation. Check this out.
Local founders. One of them, CEO Mike Cannon-Brookes, broke the news to his staff today in a pre-recorded video message. As the Australian reported, Cannon-Brookes appeared in a hoodie from his home office, springing the news on 150 staff that they would be laid off and replaced in large measure with artificial intelligence. Yet the AI-related job losses are in customer services, with Cannon-Brookes saying customer complaints in future would likely be handled largely through AI.
There's an example right there. Billionaire tech CEO replaces 150 workers with AI. So that's not in the future. That just happened. Now, we continue on to see the connection here with Israel, because we're still on Bill Ackman. When we look at Israel, did you know this? In 2024, Israel became a global leader in applied AI innovation. 2024, Israel. This is from Forbes magazine. There's a picture here of Sam Altman. He's another one who wants to push this lifestyle. Israel's AI startup activity is 2 to 4 times greater than that observed in the US or Europe, highlighting the unparalleled density of its AI sector. AI startups constitute 30% of Israel's tech landscape, accounting for up to 40% of funding rounds, and securing 47% of total investments. So you see, when we look at everything and we put it all together, it's just interesting that the same billionaires that happen to be pro-Israel just seem to support the advancement of AI and replacing these workers. These are the billionaires that are driving the bus, and someone tried to warn people about it. Remember the young man who was the whistleblower who came out and said, I need to speak out about what's happening with OpenAI? Remember that young man? This young man, his name was Suchir Balaji. His parents sued the apartment complex over the death of OpenAI whistleblower. Does everybody remember this gentleman? Right? So I told you back then, I think that this was foul play. They said there was no sign of foul play. By they, I mean the authorities. They said there wasn't any foul play that happened there. This gentleman, Suchir, came out as a whistleblower to the New York Times and talked about what was happening with AI. Now, this gentleman was then later on found dead in his apartment in San Francisco. Young kid, young guy. The parents, I believe they spoke to James Lee as well. They said their son was a happy guy. So these are scary people. These are scary things. His parents emphasized his whistleblowing activities in their lawsuit, saying that Suchir Balaji's work as an AI researcher included whistleblowing activities concerning misconduct at OpenAI in the 6 months preceding his homicide in November 2024, giving rise to a plausible motive for foul play and further heightening the defendant's duty to preserve evidence. They also claimed the apartment complex owners and management were involved in evidence tampering and obstruction. There was this part here as well. Defendants produced only 2 days of video. The footage from November 18th to the 21st provided includes an elevator recording at 7:30 p.m. on November 22nd, showing Suchir retrieving a DoorDash order. This conflicts with the plaintiff's phone call with him, 7:12 to 7:30, strongly suggesting timestamp manipulation. So does everybody remember this kid, Suchir? The parents assert that the apartment manager was fired right after showing the CCTV footage to them, suggesting that the property management may have been trying to retaliate or cover something up. This is Bill Ackman's world. This is Sam Altman's world. And this young man was trying to warn people about what was to come and why he wanted out. And then he died. The elites, it's not uncommon for them to use both parties at their disposal to get their mission accomplished. Bill Ackman donates to both. Oligarchs in the Trump administration, Bill Ackman. And I'll show you who he donated to. Let's make this a little bit bigger. Bill Ackman publicly backed Donald Trump and the Republican Party in the 2024 election cycle. He donated hundreds of thousands of dollars to Republican-aligned PACs in the general election after backing Dean Phillips in the Democratic primary. He also backed Nikki Haley, Vivek Ramaswamy in the Republican primary, and then later RFK Jr.'s run as an independent. So These people like Bill Ackman, these billionaires, Donald Trump, billionaire too, they are driving the bus. They're on board with advancing AI. We know Bill Ackman is. He bought AI stocks. He's ready. And Elon Musk is getting that message out there to people. But Elon, he supports some of this too. They don't want to be dependent on us to do the work. They know that workers are getting angry. So they're like, how many jobs can we replace with AI? They replace the jobs. They replace the source of information, because if there's no apps, who decides what AI is going to tell you? And then you have a society of zombie people walking around with information that has been chosen and selected by the billionaire class, and they get to rewrite history and tell you what they want you to know or believe or think. These are dangerous people. Sam Altman, Bill Ackman, these people are dangerous. And it doesn't matter what party you belong to. If you're a worker, you're going to be impacted. I want everyone to remember this, because at some point or another, it could be you or it could be your kids that are depending on that assistance from the government when your job is gone. Now, we have been watching over the past couple of weeks, Microsoft laying off people. Amazon just announced they're laying off thousands of people. Like, they have found ways to replace these jobs. The days of telling people just graduate from high school and just do well and get a good job and just work your way up may not always be the case. I can't go to the McDonald's down the street. Not that you should. The fries suck. McDonald's food ain't been hitting in years. But you can't go to the McDonald's down the street without seeing a self-checkout. It's been coming. It's just only a matter of time. And all the people that have been able to get us to turn on each other, your neighbors and everything, they're just going to sit back and laugh. Bill Ackman is laughing. They're laughing. Donald Trump's laughing. They're like, they think there's a difference. They're at the top. We're at the bottom. And I sincerely hope it's only a matter of time that more people start to realize that. We're at the top. We're at the bottom. They're at the top. We are not driving this bus. But there are more of us on the bus than there are of them. So if all of us came together on that bus, we could drive the bus. But as long as they keep you divided, you're a Republican over there, you're a Democrat, you sit over there. As long as they keep you focusing on red team, blue team, we will never come together. We will never drive that bus. And we'll just go in a loop as passengers. These are not good people, guys. They're not good people. Don't let them fool you. Let's go to some of the comments here, ladies and gents. Crystal said, this is why DC works so hard at sowing division. Absolutely. That's why. All right. Thank you, Roger. Aikman 59, not 53, if born in 1966. Thank you, Dupsy. Found your channel from DD, got a podcast channel. Shout out to DD. Love this channel and all you are doing. Oh, thank you. And thank you, William. The Plan Georgia guide stones through there doing it fast. Thank you, Ivan. A recent article in Forbes discusses an Amazon internal report with plans to replace 600,000 workers with automation, robotics, and AI by 2033. Yep. Thank you, Calvin. Sabby, if you graduate from college, will AI take private sector jobs? And what about skilled labor jobs? Are those jobs in danger too? And do we need AI? I would say no, we don't need AI, but they can take any of those jobs, any of them. If they have a code to compute it, they can replace any of those jobs. Thank you, William. This liar is trying to get us to be afraid of Terminator BS to distract from the true dangerous plan to eliminate any freedom and privacy. Elon Froud. Thank you. And thank you, Tim. Will we see a general strike in the US? If so, what will trigger it? Who will lead it? When will it happen? And will it work? Thanks. In order to have a general strike, which I 100% support, we have to have mutual aid. We have to have mutual aid. I host a mutual aid workshop once a month. I just had one for October. I'll host another one this month. But that is something that I do. And my comrades, those of us at RBN, we do mutual aid because this is what we've been trying to prepare people for. Like, in order to have a general strike, you have to have mutual aid set up. But I think we should have a general strike. Thank you, Deborah. That's BS. The government is never going to give people money to do nothing. Everybody listen to pay attention to what's happening. Thank you, baby Ethernet. AI is booming and infrastructure steadily crumbles. Yeah. Thank you, Kenman. Elon's son is actually named X. I call him Twitter. That's interesting. Thank you, JJ. Hey, I love deep dive time. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have one more story for you. I'll try to get you out here at a reasonable time. I think I'm doing pretty good. The last one isn't going to take 30 minutes to do. But quick announcement. Ladies and gentlemen, it is November 2nd. We are 2 weeks away from my documentary premiere. I'm super excited. I really can't believe it's already like November. This is crazy. It's insane. But yeah, in 2 weeks, my documentary will be premiering. It's going to premiere on the ground here in Boston first, and then it will premiere as we'll do a watch party here on the channel. Here is the trailer for it. For those of you who seem to think that we got things so great here in the Northeast, that is not the case. We have our issues as well. And one of the issues I've been focused on a lot is gentrification and the way that people have been replaced in some of these cities, in particular here in Massachusetts and in Boston. This documentary, I hope people really like it, but I think it's going to open your eyes to some things, because what you're going to see is like, this isn't something that just happens with Republican Party. You're going to see Democrats in power who have also allowed this to happen. Here's the trailer. I'll play this and then we'll get to the last story. Yes, Boston is home to winning sports teams and elite universities. But some might say that there are two Bostons.
If you look at City Hall, no one's talking about that specific racial and historical component that Black people are the ones that are being removed.
There's a huge significant difference in lived experiences, and we know this because of the wealth report. We're at $8.
This whole plan of gentrification isn't a new concept. In every city you go into in the Northeast, they kept moving Black people out of the inner city. So it's a plan. It's been in place for a long time.
While the displacement isn't as bad as 1963, it hasn't gotten much better now.
It's by design that they've created spaces where we are no longer seen anymore. They're wiping us out one community at a time, and they're getting away with it. This is gentrification. Franklin Park has been a place where we have built community, and all these things are at risk.
Why is the mayor willing to throw herself on this sword, do or die, for this project? It's not about soccer. It's about the additional profits that can be made in this entertainment complex. It's a disrespect that you would take public parkland and then give it to a private group to control it. And this project is Emmett Till's mama. pulling back a curtain. And if people don't look at what's behind that curtain, it's coming to them.
Yeah, buddy. 2 weeks away. 2 weeks away. Super excited for that. And again, shout out to all the activists that participated, the Franklin Park defenders. I got to tell you, I've lived here for 13 years now, in the Boston area, Massachusetts, and even I learned some things. So, yeah, this is something that these politicians they're gonna have to address. Mayor Wu's going to have to address this. The mayor before her, Marty Walsh, didn't want to deal with it. Mayor Menino didn't want to deal with it, but this is something you're going to have to address. It's very obvious. And as people see it more with the documentary, when you see like what they did and what they're doing now, it didn't matter who was in power. They have continued to displace Black people in Boston, not just in Boston, but other cities as well. San Francisco is probably the best case study to look at. And then you'll understand why when you come here to visit, you don't see that many Black people. So people will see that. And I'm 100% against displacement. And people need to understand why things are the way that they are. So super excited about that, ladies and gents. We have good news, a good news story. I can't believe this is happening. But this is a quick one, but I got to share this with you guys as well. You're not going to believe this. New Mexico has just become the first state in the country to start universal childcare. I kid you not. This is a shout out to New Mexico. I want to share this with you guys and then let you know, once again, this goes to show you that the fight is in the states. I know sometimes like we get disappointed because we've been advocating for things and none of these things are happening on the national level. Like they're not passing in Congress, or Congress doesn't even introduce bills for these types of issues. But what I have seen in particular over the years is that a lot of these policies are winning in the states. Let's go ahead and get into New Mexico. Let's see how they do what they do.
And it all kicked off this weekend, New Mexico officially becoming the first state to offer completely free childcare to every single family there. Now,
let's go back a little bit here. They had this ad here. I don't know why, but here we go.
this is a first in the country, and it all kicked off this weekend, New Mexico officially becoming the first state to offer completely free childcare to every single family there. Now, this is a move that the state's governor, Democrat Michelle Lujan Grisham, says will save families about $12,000 per child every single year. She's also saying it will boost the state's economy and childhood well-being. Now, the state already did offer free childcare, but it was to families below a certain income level. But now that restriction is gone and families can start applying right away. And as you said, while New Mexico may be the first state here to do that.
I just want to pause here because I do want to show you this part right here so you can see how this is done. Okay. So before it was income based. So as of now, because it's November, New Mexico just started this. So this is the first state in the country to have universal childcare. I hope more commentators cover this story because it shows you that it is possible to do. Pay attention to what New Mexico did. It says here that it is funded by the state oil and gas revenue. And of course, there's no income limit, right? So you don't means test it. This is what I was saying before about means testing these damn policies. So they are taking that revenue from the oil and gas, and they are using that to provide the universal childcare. Now, here's the thing. You can also do this by taxing the millionaires, what they're supposed to be taxed, by taxing the wealthy. We've done that here in Massachusetts. All these people said they were going to leave when we passed the millionaire wealth tax. They're still here. So don't buy into that. I'm hearing this with New York City and Zoran as well. Like rich people are just like, I'm fleeing and running to Florida if Zoran Mandami wins because I want to keep all my money and my wealth to myself. And I don't want the working class people here to have anything. Okay. So there are over 200,000 millionaires in Manhattan alone. I'm not sure how many billionaires, but we know Bill Ackman is one of them that lives there. So don't buy into that, guys. That's fear mongering. But the thing is that this can be done through the states. It can happen through the states. This is why I talked about the ballot measures. This is why I told you the federal level at the end should not be the only focus. We need to focus more on what we can do in the states. That's our best chance of getting some of these policies passed. How do I know? We passed things like that here in Massachusetts. We legalized cannabis. It was a ballot measure. We voted for it. The $15 minimum wage, we passed that years ago. While people are still out here talking about $15 minimum wage on the federal level, that was passed years ago in Massachusetts. We have even seen red states like South Dakota. South Dakota, they expanded Medicaid. Nebraska also increased the minimum wage. We can't continue to allow corporate media to convince you that this is a far left issue when these things are passing in red states. It turns out that when you take people away from a party and you just put a question on the ballot, people actually just answer that damn question. And they're not thinking about, oh, what's attached to this politician. So you are seeing more things happen in the states on the local level than we are seeing happen on the federal level when it comes to some of these policies. If you support like some of those progressive policies, look at the states. That's your best chance. That doesn't mean give up the fight on the federal level, but what that means is in the meantime, look at the states. I think that's a good, push for people. So this is good news. And New Mexico was showing you that this can be done.
First state here to do this. It just might not be the last. Other states are kickstarting similar programs. Take Connecticut, for example. They recently passed a bill to give free childcare to families making under $100,000. And right here in New York City, Zoran Mamdani has promised free childcare for all as part of his campaign for mayor, drawing national attention.
There you go. There you go. So this has started in New Mexico now that it is November. And so who is driving this bus? The people. The people, not the billionaires. The billionaires don't push this. This is the people who are driving this bus. A lot of people may want to move to New Mexico now, but I'm just saying, this is the people. And I want to show you just how much it costs. Like, in particular here in Massachusetts, this is a breakdown for 2025, how much it costs for childcare, like in Massachusetts. If we were to look at the cities, right? Because this is where most of us live here. In Boston, you are looking at, this is insane. This is insane. For monthly infant care, you're looking at $2,947 a month. I'm trying to make it bigger for you guys so you can see. Can everybody see? Okay, there we go. Right here. You're looking at $2,947 a month for one baby. One. In Cambridge, over $3,000 a month. Cambridge, Massachusetts. Worcester. And Worcester is a more affordable part of the state. That's central Massachusetts. $2,868 a month in Worcester. Springfield, that's Western Mass, $2,562 a month. Lowell, $2,854 a month. Lowell, that is the Merrimack Valley area. So what I am showing you is this. If you have more than one child, let's say you have a 3-year-old and you have a baby, double that. Let's say you have twins, double that. And I don't know anybody that can afford to pay $6,000 a month for childcare. That's why one of the reasons why people aren't having kids. This is so expensive and we have to work. Gone are the days where you could stay at home. When I was a kid, my mom stayed home with me until I went to kindergarten and then she went back to work. I don't know anyone that can do that now. None of my friends can do that. One of my friends tried to do that and she had to go back to work. It didn't work out. That's the world we live in. And then when you look at the child care costs, this is insane. $2,947 a month for one child. That's the problem. Now, in some other countries, they don't have this issue. In some other countries, they have, where the mother is allowed to have paid maternity leave for 9 months after she has the baby. They don't need to look for childcare at that point. We don't have that here. So this has become a big one. And like I said, people want people to have babies. They want you to continue to have kids, but then they don't want you to pay for it. Who's going to pay for these kids? It's a shocking sticker. It's a shocking sticker. I found out when a friend of mine was having twins. That's how I found out about this. So I'm super excited for New Mexico. And I don't know, man. If you, and that's another thing. If you want people to have kids, you want Gen Z and younger generations, if you want them to have families and have kids, childcare has to be affordable, and it's not. Now, I was lucky. I was lucky that my mom was able to stay home with me until I went to school. But that was a long time ago. What happened to that? What happened to that society where one parent could work and the other one could stay home with the kids? And then let's talk about how this affects the family dynamic. And I've brought this up before. If both people have to work and you have childcare, then one of you has to pick up the kid from the daycare after work. Don't be late, because then you have to pay a late fee. Found that out from a coworker. Then you got rush home and you have to make dinner. What time is it? After traffic, after you've picked up your child from daycare, and then you get home and you have to make dinner, what time is it? Is it 6? Is it 6:30? Is it 7 o'clock? Is it 8? What time is it? Then you have to eat, put the kid to sleep, and then maybe you have time to watch one show, maybe not, and then you have to go to sleep. Then you have to get up early the next day to get ready to do this all over again. So when people ask, why has the family dynamic changed? That's why. Z Rena said, kid gonna be up in 4 hours crying. Z, you have kids? Oh, man. Oh, my gosh. Yeah. All right, guys, we have one more story for you. Pretty big one here about Officer Tatum. Again, let's ask, who was driving the bus? Officer Tatum got into it with Nick Fuentes. And I think had it been anyone else, a lot of us as Black people would have came in and backed them up. But because it came from Officer Tatum, we just kind of look at it as though nah, bro, you kind of on your own this time. You kind of on your own with this one, especially considering some of the things that you have said and some of the things you're saying right now. Because you see, this is what happened. Officer Tatum said, look at this little racist clown. This is why Charlie wouldn't take him seriously. He's talking about Charlie Kirk. His entire platform is what? Being a troll. He adds zero value, just complaining. Claims to be a Christian, yet he consistently talks like this. It's not a one-off. Okay. And Officer Tatum, I'll show you what he's referring to, this video here of Nick Fuentes. He was impersonating Officer Tatum, right? So the problem is Officer Tatum has a point, but Officer Tatum, you kind of allowed this to happen. because you made a decision. You knew it was more profitable for you to be on the right and for you to dance around some of those dog whistles as you had in the past, as we'll show people tonight as well. Dance around some of those dog whistles. You have spent a lot of time attacking the Black community more than you have white supremacists. And so when you cry for help, we not really looking to help you like that. That's the problem. So let's get into what he said to Officer Tatum. And Officer Tatum, he made a video about this. And like I said, we not coming to help you. Okay? We not coming to help you. And I'll show you guys why.
Only reason why I'm making these videos is because I believe Charlie Kirk, if he was still alive, he'll be crying out for us to say, you cannot humanize idiot people. What does humanization mean? Humanization doesn't mean you can't interview them. You can't debate them. Humanization means during the debate, are you going to bring up any of this stuff that I'm about to show in my video? Are you going to challenge him on anything that you claim are your core values?
Didn't Officer Tatum humanize Benjamin Netanyahu? When Benjamin Netanyahu was sitting right there across from him during that interview, didn't Officer Tatum humanize Benjamin Netanyahu when he sat right there and he said, I was only spit on once? It's interesting to hear someone talk about humanizing people and respect when you sit right there, Officer Tatum, and you don't humanize the Palestinians. Hell, you talked a lot of crap about us. You were very negative towards your own people. You don't humanize anything. You know what you do? You humanize what makes you money. That's what Officer Tatum has been doing, humanizing what makes him money. And all of us know in this space in particular that as a Black conservative, you make a lot of money. It is very profitable for you to be a Black conservative in this space. So I don't really want to hear anything about humanizing when you have sat right there and the things that people have said about Palestinians and about Black people, and you have said as well. I don't feel for you, Tatum. I don't feel for you.
Humanizing somebody is saying this person, like for instance, let's say Hitler was still alive. Well, let's say we can go back in time because Hitler would be 100 years old, something crazy. But let's just say we go back in time. During that time period, Hitler did all these atrocities and all of the great, horrible things that he's done and the grave danger that he created amongst the world. Just say him and Stalin. If you interview Hitler or Stalin, normalizing them would be like, I'm going to let them just say all this stuff and I'm not going to push back on what he's doing to the Jews. Stalin's mass murdering of so many people. I mean, Stalin actually killed more Jews than Hitler did. And you're not getting, it's like interviewing Stalin and not bringing any of that up. That's humanizing people or normalizing, not humanizing, but normalizing people.
Netanyahu has murdered hundreds of thousands of Palestinians. He sat right across from you for interview and you say nothing about it. You give no pushback to Benjamin Netanyahu, who told you numerous lies. Your own audience came after you in the chat. I'm not a fan of Nick Fuentes, but you asking him to do something that you don't do.
People keep telling me, Brandon, you should debate Nick Fuentes. It's like, I'm not a wussy like Tucker Carlson and all these other people. You come on my show, bro, I'm going to get in your rear end. Pause. I'm going to get on your case. Nick told me to say that. It's his generation that did the pause. I'm going to get on your case, bro. You're not finna sit across from me, all that junk you were talking online about me being stupid out there, and I'm not going to say nothing about that. The crazy things you said about my friend Charlie Kirk, I'm not going to confront you on that, bro. The stuff you said about Erica that was disgusting, I'm not going to confront you on that. You running your mouth using the N-word against Black people, I'm not going to confront you on that.
So now you have a problem with that? Now all of a sudden, Officer Tatum has a problem with racism. Now all of a sudden, Officer Tatum has a problem with being called the N-word. I just find this so interesting, considering Officer Tatum spent so much time attacking other Black activists who had that same issue. He didn't defend them. He defended the white supremacists. He said it was Black people's problem. You know what I mean? So this is why I feel the way that I feel. This is why I don't have the empathy. I don't have any sympathy for Officer Tatum. You decided you wanted to play a game. You decided that you were going to be a passenger on a bus too, and you decided that you would let Israel, Netanyahu, all of the other right-wing, whatever, you decided to let that drive your bus. Now, at any point in time, you could have gotten off that bus, you could have sat in that driver's seat, and you could have switched lanes, but you're not doing that because that is not profitable for you. And then now you have a built-in audience where even if you did try to switch that lane, it might not go too well for you. So this is why you not see us. We did not come to his defense. This is why people were ratioing him in the comments on Twitter. It's not that what he said was incorrect. It's not that what Officer Tatum said was incorrect. It was more so that we don't feel anything for the way that you feel you were treated. Because when we said those things, you were like, oh, Black people this, Black people that. It's the Black people, it's the Blacks. That is the company that you chose to line yourself with because you wanted to make more money. That's the company you align yourself with. That's the company that you keep. Let's go on more.
All right, don't believe me. Let's pull these clips up, bro. First clip of the day is what this fool said about me. Tell me that you will hear somebody like Charlie Kirk talk like this. Just roll the clip.
That's your question? Sent $21. There's this guy called Officer Tatum, a.k.a. Officer Talmud. You should watch his 30 minutes crash to Nick Fuentes x Tucker Carlson interview. Lol, and his comments are filled with Zios who despise you.
Why would I?
Hold on a second. I put this on my life. He would never say this to my face. You want to bet me? I will upload it on Instagram for you guys. If he would ever come and get in my face and say what he about to say on this thing, he would never do it. He would come when he approaches me, which he never would. He would be trying to be my friend and be nice to me, just like all these other fools that I catch in public, and they go, "Oh, Tatum." All right, ladies and gentlemen, I got a great deal for you.
And here he is selling spices. So let's get past the spice and get back to this. Boy, I tell you.
An idiot. Hey, man. Hey, man. Tucker, some. Hey, man.
We shouldn't blur it. I want people to hear what he's saying.
Brandon Tatum is an idiot. Dumbest person I've ever heard. He should get an education. Officer Tatum should get an education. He should learn how to read.
And maybe he got the reading part right. But everything else he said is crazy. He said the N-word. He said all kind of other stuff in his speech. We were trying to block it so they don't ban us. But that's what he really said. Matter of fact, you know what I'm going to do on one of my other platforms that we don't get canceled on? I'm going to play the raw clip of it. Maybe on my Instagram or something, I'll play the raw clip. Y'all can go to my Instagram and find it, the raw clip of it, where he's saying the N-word and acting a fool.
But here's the thing, okay? Here's the thing, because they blurted out on there. But yeah, he does say that on the X post. But here's the thing. Had it been any other person, I think more like Black people would have been like, yo, no, don't, that's not cool. Don't talk about them that way. Da. But it's you. It's Brandon Tatum. You don't like us anyway. I guess like for me, it's just like, this is your party. This is the party you want to be a part of. People can't point their fingers at me. I don't belong to any political party. I'm registered no party affiliation. But this is the party that you, Brandon Tatum, wanted to be a part of. I said the same thing for some of the progressives who wanted to be a part of the Democratic Party. I said the same thing. I'm like, they starting a freaking genocide. You got Biden and Kamala starting a freaking genocide. This is the party that you wanted to be a part of. So I'm not leaning one way or the other on here. I'm keeping everybody the same. But basically, Brandon Tatum got his wake-up call. Where are all the people in the party that are supposed to be coming to Brandon Tatum's defense? What are they supposed to say, Brandon Tatum? I thought you said racism wasn't a thing. Now you want to cry? It's racism. I'm confused. So were you paid to say it wasn't a thing before, and now you're not paid to say it? Where are you at? This party you wanted to be a part of, Brandon. We'll go on a little bit more here.
But we got a whole bunch of other clips. Let's roll clip 402. And this is just a few clips I have. There's probably 400,000 clips of this fool just being a nut job. And Tucker brings him on, and people don't know this side of him, right? He go on PBD podcast, he go on people's podcasts, and they go, But then people don't know that this is the other stuff he's saying on his own platform. Roll the clip.
Hey, I'm a stone cold white nationalist, and I love Hitler, and I don't want Indians here, and I'm not a Democrat, okay? And I'm not woke, and I'm not liberal.
All right. And let me preface it too, because I don't want nobody saying, Brandon, you took that out of context. I watched the entire video. He goes on to act like, oh, we can't talk like this. We can't talk like this because it's bad. So he's doing that superfluously. So there's no additional context to what he said. Let's roll clip 4.
Pause here for a second. I just want to push back on this. No, the other podcast hosts do know what he says on his show. PBD podcast was very well aware of the comments that Nick Fuentes has made before on his show. So was Tucker Carlson as well. I think you're giving them the benefit of the doubt, Brandon. You're giving them too much benefit of the doubt. They're very much aware of what has been said. You cannot be this naive. You really, really cannot. Ay.
3. Roll it.
It's like, lady, didn't your husband just get his face blown off like 2 seconds ago? And not to be insensitive about it, but everyone's thinking it. No one wants to be the, no one wants to say it. Everyone's thinking it. Everyone was thinking it when she gave the first speech. Everyone was definitely thinking it at the memorial. Nobody wants to say it because it's inappropriate. It's insensitive. I am the troll, right? So I'll be the one to say it. I think it's super inappropriate. I think it's inappropriate. I think it's weird. It's bizarre. Something is off there, and I don't like it. But they're doing the Super Bowl commentators with the headsets on, doing a media table. They're selling merch, registering voters. They got pyrotechnics.
This was one where many of us did agree with, actually. A lot of us agreed with this, like you guys coming out kind of quick after he had just died. So Brandon Tatum, he wants people to feel sorry for him because of what was said to him, right? But this is why this is one example. Let me show you what he said on Tim Pool's show. Listen to this.
You know, now there's a conversation popping up around interracial violence where, you know, Will Cain talked about it. Matt Walsh is talking about it. I'm curious your thoughts on this as part of the conversation that black on white violence is 26 times higher than white on black violence. Do you think that's because of these narratives and that feeling you described?
1,000%. When you were raised to view white people from the lens of people who created slavery, which is how most people are receiving this information about slavery, and they're evil and they're conquerors all over the country, all over the world. They conquered Native Americans. These are evil evil white people. And what did they do to our ancestors? They hung them from trees. They mutilated them. Jim Crow. When this is punched into your brain, and then every time you get pulled over by a white cop and you black, they just gun you down like an animal. You feel oppressed. You feel angry. You feel vengeful. And it's all a lie.
Really? So this was, it's all a lie, according to Officer Tatum. This was a tap dancing fool. You got 1 foot over here. These are the things that you said. These are the things that Officer Tatum said. So it's a lie that we were hung from trees? When there's pictures to show that? When there's video footage to show that? This was a lie? All these things were lies, according to Officer Tatum? How much they pay this clown? How much they pay him to sell out like this to some people? This is why people say what they say. This is why we not come to your defense like this, man. This is why we not come to your defense, man. This is the most, and I can't say the word on here, but it rhymes with spoonery. This is the most spoonery thing I've ever seen, man. And you're paid to come on as the token to be, and listen, it's some grimy people in this space. It's some grimy people in this space that will use you in different ways if you let them to. But this was ridiculous.
But what happens is that vengeance and that hatred and somewhat fear causes you to be extra aggressive towards white people. I remember when I was younger and I felt like black people were better than white people. And I felt like white people were inferior. Wow. And I looked at white men as cowards. And I would love an opportunity to put my hands on a white guy if I had the opportunity to, because my mind was caught up on this is what y'all done did to my people all these years. When a bad thing would happen to a white person, I used to feel like, why do we care? They didn't care about us. You get what I'm saying, Tim?
Yeah. No, I don't get what you're saying, because you're taking your experience and how you felt, and you're saying that's how all black people felt. And that is not the case. Maybe that's how you felt, Brandon. Speak for yourself. So did you try to overcompensate for that for becoming a cop? This is why what Brandon Tatum is saying doesn't make any sense. He said something about humanity and caring about humanity, but he was at the Republican Jewish Coalition, and this is what he said here.
Y'all keep praying for me. I said, I want them to turn that place into a parking lot. I got to preface it because somebody going to clip this and put it on the internet. Not because of the Palestinian people per se, individual people, but because if you dare to do such an atrocity to people that I love, people that I respect, people that are chosen by God, you decide to do something like that, you should never have an opportunity to do it again. And it should be an example to everybody in the world that if you ever think about trying something like this, your country will cease to exist.
Now, this is the same guy who just said that Nick Fuentes said something racist towards him. This is the same guy who said that we have to look for humanity. But here he is at the Republican Jewish Coalition, not doing what he just told everybody else to do. Here he is saying that Gaza should be turned into a parking lot because some of his friends were hurt. I doubt he knew any of the people that were taken as hostages or died on October 7th. And then he goes on to, is that Christian-like? Is it Christian-like for Officer Tatum to cheer on destruction of an entire population of people? See, you can't have it both ways. Officer Tatum wants to have it both ways. Officer Tatum, he wants to be able to say, turn Gaza into a parking lot, get rid of the Palestinian people. Then he want to cry foul and say that someone is being racist towards him. You can't have it both ways and say that you are against racism and bigotry towards you, but then you support a racist genocidal state. You get me? You get me? You can't have it both ways. You support a racist genocidal state, but then you want everybody to come to your defense and your aid because you called out, oh, Nick Fuentes being racist towards me. You support a racist state. He goes on to talk about God's chosen people. We went through this whole thing before with the Bible. We didn't already told you who's more closely aligned DNA-wise to that area. Not no damn Europeans who just hopped on the plane and said, let me come settle here. But Officer Tatum, he doesn't want to take the time to learn any damn thing because he's paid too much not to. Now he taking that same hate that he said Nick Fuentes has, and he's using that towards the Palestinian people. But you want people to cry boo-hoo for you. I believe he was fired as a police officer. This is the problem. And look, MAGA got a problem right now because the problem that you're running into, the problem is this. There is this split where some people are like, no, we're not putting Israel first. We really want to put America first. Stop sending money to Israel. And yes, there's a genocide that's happening in Gaza. Then you got the Officer Tatums who were like, no, we got to stand by Israel. But we got to be pro-life, even though we support a genocide happening abroad. Then they try to use the excuse of the Bible and say, well, it's Christianity and they're not the chosen people. Don't even know what he's talking about if you actually look into the context. You can't have it both ways. You can't say you're pro-life and you're pro these kids being killed. You can't say that you're against racism and you supporting a racist genocidal state. You can't have it that way. But because he went there and he was only spat on once, I guess that's okay for him. I have never seen someone shuck and jive in such a way that they damn well got to know better. Has to know better at this point. But you really can't. I don't know how else to relay that message to people other than to say it just point blank. If you support Israel, you are supporting a racist genocidal state. That's it. I don't know another way to say it. Maybe someone put that on a t-shirt. I don't know. That's what you are supporting. None of this, oh, the only religious place for Israel is a secular state. So just put that to the side. So everything that Brandon Tatum said in that video against Nick Fuentes, it don't hold no weight because he's not practicing what he preaches. I don't want him to be racist towards me, but I want to be racist towards these Palestinian people. I want to say bad things about white supremacy and of course with Hitler, but I want to come over here and hang out with these white supremacists in Israel. No, you can't have it both ways. The Officer Tatums of the world, they would rather make a buck instead of do the right thing. And you know what's really sad? If you listen to some of the things that Officer Tatum says, the whole thing about people are like, he doesn't know what he's talking about and da-da-da. The sad part is that's true. But he's given a world stage to not know what he's talking about. And that makes it even worse. So I don't feel sorry for Brandon Tatum. You put yourself in that lane. Now you want to cry racism. You said this wasn't a thing. I don't know why he brought Charlie Kirk into that. But it's the flippity flip floppity. This is something I never understood. And I said this before about like Black Republicans. And I know a few, very few Black Republicans. And I said before, I was just like, I don't know how you deal with this issue. Who coming to your rescue? You got racist Democrats too, but they try to hide it. They disguise it in a different way. But come on, man. Here you out here capping for that, and you asking to level the entire place. But you're pro-life? No. You got a problem. Brandon Tatum got a problem. You guys got a problem. Like That's not Christian-like. He's a passenger on the bus too. He's not the driver. He's not driving his bus. He's a passenger. At some point in life, you got to make a decision to get off the bus or to take control of the wheel. Listen, I wasn't always driving my bus. I was a passenger for a long time, actually. And then one day I realized, you know what? I'm getting tired of doing what other people telling me to do. I don't want to do these things. I know that Officer Tatum knows better. Question is, does Officer Tatum want to do better? Does he want to turn down those trips to Israel? Does he want to turn down those nice hotel accommodations he gets when he goes to have these talks at these conventions? Does he want to turn down the money? Does he want to turn down being spat on? Does he want to turn down the perks? Sometimes that's what it comes down to. I would say probably not. Don't come crying to me. Don't come crying to Black folks, because we just kind of looking at you like, you're on your own. You're like Patti LaBelle and Michael, that guy's name? Michael McDonald. On my own. Some of the older people in the chat probably know Michael McDonald. He was part of that group called the Doobie Brothers. Yeah, the Doobie Brothers. What a fool believe. On my own. But he had that song with Patti LaBelle. Yeah. But yeah. Crazy times, man. Crazy times. Let's go to some of the comments here in the chat. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Fuzzy Balls. Sabby, would you be shocked to learn that Israel, established in 1947, has had 3 presidents and 2 prime ministers who were born in Ukraine, and Ukraine has been aligned with Israel throughout the Gaza genocide? Not surprising. Thanks, Roger. 1, hand nuclear codes to AI. 2, AI becomes sentient. 3, decides humans are a virus of the earth. Guess what's next? Time for worker cooperatives. Thank you, USMC. Dorchester Center, Codman Square here. Hey, what's up? Thank you, Ethel. You see the drop site piece on Barack/Epstein emails. Epstein was the middleman getting Barack meetings with Putin to discuss the Syrian civil war. WTF. I haven't seen that yet, but I'll check it out. Thank you. Thank you, Fuzzy Balls. The answers don't lie with the Democrats or Republicans. The United States would be so much better off if the Greens and Libertarians replaced them. Thank you, Measured Man. Please, please do not forget he said the officer was justified in pow-powing Sonia Massey. That's right, he did say that. Thank you, Libertarian Social Democrat. Tatum and Tim Pool, half Asian, pay to POC grifters. Thank you, Baby Ethernet. Tatum's paid because he can't ever flip the script. Thank you, WIS313. Officer Tatum is in the back of the bus. And thank you, Calvin. How do we start a 3rd, 4th party? Well, that's a good question. I think you need to connect with Chris Smalls. Do you follow Chris Smalls on Twitter? Because I know that was one of the things that he was working on. We do have third parties. We have the Green Party. We have POC PSL, but they don't have as much ballot lines. And we have the Libertarian Party, but the Green Party has the most ballot lines. I should bring Jill Stein back on the show at some point. Let's get Rockfin, and then we can head on out of here. Snoozy doozies. All right. It's so weird because it feels so much later than it actually is. Now I'm all thrown off now. Thank you, Roger. Peep this. If we pushed for tax incentives to allow for remote work, you can take care of your own kids. But government investment in high-speed public broadband would be needed to accommodate. Just like when the rabbi told Candace, no one coming to save you, so I can talk to you any way I damn feel. It's now Tatum's turn. Yeah. Remote work would be great. I mean, that would help, I think, for the childcare issue. I think it just depends on the age of the child. Like a newborn is going to be a newborn, right? So working remotely, you still may have to get up and, change them and feed them and stuff like that. So it is what it is. Okay, that is it for me today, ladies and gentlemen. Tuesday night is election night. We will be live, and I got a guest to come on to talk about the genocide in Sudan first off at the very beginning of the show. And then we're going to get into the election night madness that is going to happen. So we'll be following some key races in particular. I know New Jersey is very close. The question is New Jersey going to turn red? Of course, also the NYC mayor race we'll be keeping an eye on as well. And I think also Virginia. So join me Tuesday, ladies and gents. And that is it for me. Hey, hey, hey. All right. Have a good night. Keep up the fight.